St. Louis, Missouri, home of the Cardinals, the Clydesdales, and of course the nation's tallest monument. The St. Louis Arch stands symbolic of the learning curve some face tonight. Gateway International Raceway, a track that offers as much challenge as it does opportunity. Former winners are here hoping to renew past glory, all amidst an intensifying championship race. Can Carl Edwards continue to close the gap on Brad Keselowski? We'll find out as the NASCAR Nationwide Series roars through the gateway to the West.
T-minus 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ignition.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series heads into race 19 tonight here at the Gateway International Raceway. This place is a high-speed, mile-and-a-quarter track with two completely different sets of turns. It certainly has its challenges. Track position is always critical, so it never hurts to start up front. So let's show you how qualifying played out earlier this afternoon. And your point leader, Brad Keselowski, a very sporty lap. For much of the qualifying session, it looked like he'd be on the pole. Very strong lap, but it would not hold up. Instead, he was bumped from the provisional pole by Colin Brown. Excellent lap for him, 33.74 seconds. It's his best qualifying effort of the year, but it wasn't enough to hold up for the pole. Somewhat of a surprise. The pole winner was this guy, Trevor Bayne, in the 99 car. Bayne, very fast lap, just over 133 miles per hour. And that's enough to give him his second pole of the season. Here's a look now at the first 5 rows. And a couple of surprises there. Brad Coleman, a strong qualifying effort there on the inside of row number 4. Carl Edwards looking to get back in this championship chase. He's on the outside of row number 4. And how about Kevin Harvick, the hot hand right now? He won the truck race earlier this afternoon. Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Countdown. I'm Mike Massaro here in Madison, Illinois, just across the mighty Mississippi River, only minutes outside the heart of downtown St. Louis, Missouri. And as we just showed you, Trevor Bayne picked up the pole, his second of his career. And to get his thoughts going into tonight's race, Dr. Jerry Punch is with him.
Thank you, Mike. You mentioned the Cardinals are playing across town, but this guy's already hit one out of the park here at this Toyota. Trevor, congratulations on a great pole run. Now, got to ask you, as a young driver, typically aggressive, what's the game plan early on tonight?
Well, I just had a talk with Carl Edwards, and it's a give-and-take kind of sport. You have to know when you got a good car and know when you're about to get past and be willing to give that room when that's coming up. But fortunately, so far we're on the good side today where we got a good car, and so hopefully we'll be making all the passes and staying up front. But, this Outback Toyota, I couldn't ask for much more out of it so far today. It's been great. It's letting me hang out with you more. I mean, I don't know what to do getting to hang out with Jerry Punch so much, but it's a good day so far.
Well, let's hope it ends up as a nice day this evening. I got to ask you also, the guys here, Michael Waltrip, Jerry Baxter, your crew chief, they've been trying to work on taking some of the aggressiveness away and pulling in the reins a little bit, get you to run 80, 85% and save the car for later. How difficult is that for you?
It's hard, and I don't think 85% ever exists in a race car driver's mind. I mean, we can say it would be like, all right, Jerry and Michael, I'll run 85% for you, but really we're running 99% instead of 100%. 99, there you go. But, it's hard to do that. It's hard to back it down, especially when you got a good car. That's when it's even tougher. When you got a bad car, you're like, all right, this is all I got. But when you got a good car, you want to get there, get to the front. So we've got a good car today, and hopefully we can keep it in one piece. It's an awesome weekend for us. The only downside to it is Lonnie Klaus is leaving us from MRO. He's going to Mexico. That's a good side, I guess. It's bad for us to lose him, but we know Lonnie Klaus is going somewhere where he can make a huge difference. So I want to say thank you to him and just thank you for all he's done for the sport and for us and our Christian lives.
Hey, good luck tonight.
Hey, thank you.
All right, Trevor Bayne on the pole. Beside him on the front row, another young driver, Shannon.
Great qualifying effort for Colin Brown. This has been quite a season for you. You're in the car, you're out of the car, you're back in the car. Now you're on the front row. What have you learned this year so far, Colin?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just keeping your head down and, kind of letting the riffraff take care of itself and knowing that believing in yourself and believing in these number 16 Conway Freight guys. They do a really good job on my cars, and having Rick Vyers come in the last couple of races has been a big help for me. He's really helped this whole team kind of get steered back in the right direction.
Have you, as a driver, turned a corner inside that car?
I think so. You know, I feel like having the same leadership and the same guy working with you. I've got my new spotter, Elton Sawyer, coming in this weekend, helping me out. So having those two guys with so much experience give you a lot of confidence, you know, going into these races. And, you know, it's pretty cool. We got the Missouri State Highway Patrol anti-texting campaign sticker on the front of this car. So pretty excited about that. I guess being on the front row, hopefully it'll get some TV time.
Colin Brown has a great view to that green flag. Best qualifying effort for Brown. Mike?
And thank you, Shannon. There's quite the range of talent in tonight's race, including several drivers making their Gateway debut. Among them are Brian Scott, fresh off a career-best third-place performance in Chicago. Colin Brown, you just heard from in the 16. Matt DiBenedetto is making his third start this season behind the wheel of the 20. Steve Arpin is in the 88, and Ryan Truex will wield the 00 tonight for Michael Waltrip Racing. We'll have more on him later in the show. Now for more on what we can expect in tonight's race, let's throw it upstairs to the men who will be calling it. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Craven, and Dave Burns.
Well, thanks, Mike. And Trevor Bain, happy to be with Dr. Jerry Punch. Colin Brown, happy for some TV time being on the front row. And I'm happy to be up here with some NASCAR winners on a Saturday night. It just feels right. Now, here at Gateway, we set the field just about an hour ago, 43 drivers in it for the night. But it wasn't easy. The time of day may have had a lot to do with the runs of the 38 and the 20, Jason Leffler and Matt DiBenedetto. Ricky?
Yeah, they had higher expectations for grip going into qualifying, and they didn't have it. You can see these guys worked hard during qualifying. We saw that theme all session long.
And Rusty, there was a truck race earlier today that was supposed to run last night. They had to reschedule for this afternoon.
Yeah, they really did. And that truck race, in my mind, threw everybody for a loop. The track was really black out there. The conditions were completely different. They practiced this morning on this racetrack, getting set up for tonight's race. They qualified, then they run the truck race, and so they have no idea what to expect tonight. This race is going to end at night. These changing track conditions are going to be everything. They're going to have to stay up with it.
Things to keep an eye on. Now, the Sprint Cup Series is off this weekend, so this could be an opportunity for some guys in the Nationwide Series, Ricky, that may not have it normally.
Yeah, I agree. There's 3 drivers in the full-time Nationwide drivers that I have high expectations for. Number 1, Justin Allgaier. A few months back, he took it to him at Bristol, took on the best they had to offer, came out on top. Brendan Gaughan, who's a veteran in all ranks of racing, and he's won here in the Truck Series. I think he could win here in the Nationwide Series. He's got his best start tonight, 4th. And then the big story, Trevor Bain, who says he spent a lot of time today with Jerry Punch, and I think he has a chance to spend a little more time with him because he's very confident in his crew, car, and himself. So as long as he's not overconfident, Rusty.
Well, and I mentioned opportunity, so I spoke out of that side of my mouth. Now let me speak out of the other, Rusty. They still got to beat these Cup guys that are here tonight.
Oh, yeah, they know that. The Cup guys have got the upper hand here. They got a lot of laps around here, and even if it's not here, they got more laps than the rest of those guys. You take a look at Carl Edwards. This guy flat knows how to get around this racetrack in St. Louis. He's so confident that he rode his bicycle all the way here over 200 miles from Columbia up to this track. He's very confident for himself tonight. A lot of experience at this racetrack. Paul Menard been steady all year long. Real impressed how Paul's been doing. Ran good in the road courses, had good top 10 finishes. Brad Keselowski, another guy leading our point standings right now, finished 2nd in the truck race earlier today. But the guy that I think's really going to get the job done, that cat right there, Kevin Harvick. Kevin won the truck race. He looks really good in practice. And you know what? The very first win he ever had here was a Gateway. So he won his first race here. He won it in 2000, came back again and won it in 2001. So they're going to have to beat Kevin Harvick. He's going to be good.
We'll see who can win it tonight, the opportunity guys or the veterans. Mike, 4 of the top 7 qualifiers have never won a NASCAR Nationwide Series race.
Yeah, and that certainly makes things interesting, Dave. Still ahead, plenty to come. Reed Sorensen has 3 career victories. 2 of those have come right here in St. Louis. Can he add a 3rd to his resume? We'll talk to him. Justin Allgaier's Bristol win this spring was a breakthrough. Hear why it was so emotional for him and his wife, and why a win tonight might be even sweeter. And Ryan Truex is one of NASCAR's most talked about young prospects. Hear what's on his mind as he prepares to make his Nationwide Series debut. All this coming up next on NASCAR Countdown. Don't go away, we're just getting started.
The fans are on their feet, and this is a great crowd tonight here in St. Louis. Look at this, going for the lead. Here goes Kevin Harvick. He's got the inside line going down into 1.
He's coming here to win. It's not about points. It's about his team, his car. He wants to get it done, man. It's nervous time right now for Kevin Harvick. And he is just hoping for a caution flag real quick right now because he decided to stay out that last time.
Kevin Harvick has just run out of fuel.
Get the can ready. Get the can ready.
This is going to absolutely kill Kevin Harvick. No chance now.
It is Kyle Busch, Reed Sorensen, Bush in the 18. Boy, he gets another great jump.
Doing everything I can.
And Kyle Busch can put another notch on the victory podium as he's going to take the win. Yeah, there's those that cheer and those that boo him, but you got to acknowledge he can drive a race car.
Although Kevin Harvick led a race-high 105 laps in last year's race, a fuel miscalculation relegated him to a 17th place finish. That enabled Kyle Busch, who led 90 laps himself, to score the victory. But how about Reed Sorensen? He was the runner-up a year ago, and over the course of his career, Doc, he's been freakishly strong here.
Without a doubt, Reed Sorensen, this is his best racetrack. Folks, you don't believe me? We'll take a look back July 30th, 2005. As a raw rookie in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Sorensen came here and dominated, leading 66 laps. 2 years later, guess what? A replay. Sorensen would lead 79 laps and dominate to win. And today, Reed Sorensen starts in 13th position. And Reed, why are you so good at this racetrack?
I think it's just a combination of having good race cars, and as soon as I came to this racetrack, I really liked it and enjoyed driving here. So, a lot of the guys that are in this series grew up short track racing and on some flatter tracks such as this one. And like I said, as soon as I came here the first time, I took a liking to it, and hopefully tonight we can make it 3.
You start back in 13th tonight. I know starting position has usually been pretty critical. This place is so tough to pass. What is the key as this race evolves to the night there for you to be able to get up front and stay there for you?
I think the key is just to make sure your car turns really good on long runs. Just watching that truck race, it looked like the cars are real fast, had their cars turning really good. So we struggled with that today and made a lot of changes throughout the day to try to get that better. So I think on the long run, you just got to get it where you can get in the gas really early off 2 and be able to roll really fast in 3 and 4. So I think the Dollar General car is going to be different than we were in practice because we made so many changes. So hopefully we did everything right and have a good night.
Watch for Reed Sorensen to make it a move early on. And a driver that had a good run here a year ago, standing by with Shannon.
And Brad Coleman getting into the groove right now as they just turned up the track music on us. Brad, this is your 4th start in this 18 car. What are your expectations for this evening?
I'm going to do what I've done the last 3 races, and or what I tried to do, and keep the nose clean and just be there at the end. It's a really good race car, got a great starting position, best I've ever started here, and so I'm excited to go out there, keep the nose clean, and I'm the ESPN in-car reporter this week, so I'm excited to talk to Rusty and have a little conversation in the car.
That's right, a little bit of a journalism in the car this week. Also, you just mentioned 7th position is where you're starting. How good is the car? Can it get up front this evening and stay up front?
I think it can. I mean, it's a great race car. Kyle Busch does an amazing job in it, obviously. I feel blessed to be able to be his teammate this year and to drive with him and have a great crew chief. So I think it'll be a good night. I think if we can get a good top 5 out of it, I'll be happy.
And you heard Brad say that he is our in-race reporter tonight. He has been flexing those chops, getting ready to chat with you guys up in the booth. Mike?
And thank you, Shannon. And another young driver to watch out for tonight has to be Justin Allgaier. The Riverton, Illinois driver grew up just over 100 miles from here, and it's this region where he learned about commitment. And not just to racing, but also to his wife. Ashley Allgaier is who he turns to when he needs support. But for Ashley, well, she's 100% behind her man, but don't expect her to pull out the pom-poms anytime soon.
When I first met Ashley, we were a little bit opposite in the things that I probably lacked the most. She was very social and very outgoing. She was a cheerleader in high school, and I was the opposite.
We're different in a lot of ways. I'm very outspoken. I was always taught to stick up for myself and don't let anyone walk on me.
I was very quiet and shy, and I didn't do anything with school, and I didn't really feel like I fit in all that well.
I idolized Justin when we were younger. I knew all about him. He knew nothing about me. I used to watch him race when I was probably like 12, 13, but I actually met Justin when I was about 15 years old at a hockey game.
One of the guys that worked on my Durley model at the time, we went to the hockey game together, and he invited Ashley along. I guess I kind of stole things a little bit in the group there. We left the hockey game, we actually went home that night, and we started talking online a lot. How long does it usually take to cook the chicken? Because the rolls need like 11 minutes, so we'll probably be pushing it. If I do something wrong, I'll be the first to hear about it whenever I get home, and if I do something right, she's the first one standing there to either congratulate me or to tell me, good job.
I've always supported Justin in everything he does, but I've always told him I'm not going to be his cheerleader.
It's easy to have cheerleaders and nobody there to really tell you that you did something wrong. And I think that, you know, if I would have had that in a relationship, it would have hurt me and I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now.
We are at the Coliseum of Concrete, Bristol Motor Speedway in East Tennessee.
Justin Allgaier has been nothing short of amazing.
He's got a good run off turn 2.
Whoa, and he runs up on him, and can he close it? He does. He takes the lead.
You're the winner, baby.
Yeah, baby! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about right there, boys! You guys are awesome!
I saw him before he went to victory lane. I went up to the car before he actually got up there, and I don't remember what happened. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what he said. I don't remember anything. I could tell in his face that he'd either tried not crying or maybe he might have cried. He's probably going to hurt me for saying that.
There was people standing up there, and I really didn't want to hit anybody, so I figured if I would...
Jimmy Johnson was like sideways in his.
I know, I was sideways in mine.
No, you were straight on.
Okay. Jimmy gets a lot more practice at getting burnouts than I do. So I guess that
is
would
that
be...
your excuse?
That is my excuse.
Okay, so in the fall, I expect a better burnout.
I like that plan.
Okay.
I like that plan a lot.
Racing here at
Justin Allgaier is proving to be a very quick study, and judging by how much he's improved over the last season, he may have to perfect that burnout pretty soon. In just 18 races, he has nearly twice the number of top 5s from last year and is on pace for an average finish of about 10th. And Justin Allgaier joins me now on the grid. And Justin, what's been the biggest difference this year compared to last?
Well, I think going into 2009, we were kind of on the unknown, schedule because Chad Walter, my crew chief, and I were kind of under the impression we were only going to run about 10 races. And we were gearing up to only run about 10 races. And about January 20th, they told us that we were going to run a full season. And I don't know that scramble is even the right word for it because we were in hyper mode trying to get everything ready. And the guys did a great job, and with the time that we had to do it, there just really wasn't a way to put together the cars and the equipment that we needed to run up front every week and not have something go wrong, and then also to win races. And we wanted to. We felt like we were close, but we never could get that win. Jump forward to 2010, now we've got 2 cars, and we had enough time to plan to put 2 cars together. And we had a whole winter where Chad Walter and all the guys could go back and really work on the cars, and the engine shop could, perfect the engines, and all the guys in our shop, the body hangers, the builders of the chassis, everybody. We just got on a lot better page, and we felt like our equipment was way better going into Daytona, and I think that's the difference.
All right, what about tonight? I know this is a home track for you. You scraped the car up a little bit in practice. How would you assess your chances?
Well, unfortunately, the guys in the shop do a great job of trying to put them together nice and straight. And we didn't even make one lap, and I dinged it all up. So we got it fixed. The guys did an awesome job of getting it fixed. It doesn't look quite as pretty as it did when we started, but the old black and red Verizon Dodge still was pretty good. And we felt like that we were better as the track was cooler. So hopefully as the sun goes down and the track gets a little bit cooler and track temps aren't up so high, we should have a really good car. And it's all about pit strategy and track position. So we got a little deeper start than we wanted to, but I feel like as long as we can pick a couple of those guys off early, get to a good riding position, and kind of battle it out until the end, and then with about 50 to go, hopefully put it on and hopefully get a victory.
And of course, Justin Allgaier wearing a couple different hats tonight. He's also the honorary starter, so to speak. He'll be leading the fans in unison, giving the command to start engines. Still plenty to come here on NASCAR Countdown. Still ahead. If it weren't for fuel mileage, Kevin Harvick might have been last year's winner here at Gateway. Harvick's back looking for redemption. We'll talk to him. And Martin Truex Jr. won 2 nationwide titles, but what will his brother's future hold? Hear what Ryan Truex says about making his much-anticipated nationwide series debut this evening. We're here in St. Louis, Missouri. Plenty to come on Countdown. Stick around. And back at Gateway International Raceway, taking a look now at the motorsports calendar, chock full of action. Immediately following tonight's race on ESPN2, it's qualifying for the Fran Autolite NHRA Nationals at 11 p.m. The finals, well, they're Sunday night at 6 o'clock on ESPN2. Then catch all the IZOD IndyCar action from Toronto Sunday afternoon at 12:30 Eastern on ABC. Next Saturday, the Nationwide Series is at O'Reilly Raceway Park, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. And next Sunday, it's the big one. The Sprint Cup Series returns to ESPN. Our coverage from the Brickyard begins at noon Eastern.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, Gateway International.
And there's a shot of a young man a lot of people are talking about, young Ryan Truex. Yes, the younger brother of Martin Truex Jr. making his debut in the Nationwide Series tonight. And Ryan has been tearing up the K&N East Series the last couple of years. He scored 4 victories, including 1 this season. That win came at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway last month, where Truex led the most laps, claiming victory in the New England 125. Truex may be only 18 years old, but his resume already has some impressive accomplishments. In 2009, not only was he the K&N Pro Series East Rookie of the Year, but he was also the champion. Here are his career stats so far. In 18 starts in that series, he's finished inside the top 10 13 times and has an average finish of just over 6th. Understandably, expectations are incredibly high, and much of that is because of his older brother, Martin. He's already set the bar. Martin Truex Jr. has, of course, 2 Nationwide Series titles, in the process claiming 13 victories. Dr. Jerry Punch caught up with Ryan to talk with him about his debut.
Ryan, we documented about the family has a history of success not only in the Nationwide Series but in Sprint Cup with Martin Truex Jr., your brother. What kind of pressure are you feeling here tonight?
A lot. I mean, you know, it's hard to follow someone that won 2 nationwide championships, and he knows what he's doing, and he's giving me some advice, and I'm just going to go out here and just do the best I can, log laps, and keep my car in one piece, and I feel like we'll get a decent finish.
You said your brother has been home and all afternoon he's texted you. You told me about 400 times. What is he telling you? What kind of advice is he offering?
You know, he's just saying just keep your head on your shoulders, things like that. Told me I was doing good, and talked to him after practice, and he said he was talking about lap times and how we were running, and we talked about my car, how I was driving, things like that. And you know, he's always been there my whole career, helping me, and it's nice to have somebody to lean on that knows what they're talking about like that. So it's been great. My dad's here, and he's been helping me out a little bit, so I've been had a lot of help this weekend.
Remember, you got a lot of family support and a lot of friends. Good luck tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Young man, it's all about family. The Truex family. His father is here, his brother watching at home on television. And guys, over the years, NASCAR has been about family. Some famous names, fathers, sons, and brothers running across the sport.
Well, and Doc, Ryan and Martin are going to have a long way to go to catch some of the best brother combos in NASCAR. Here's a look at the top 5. The Busch brothers with career nationwide wins of 39. The Burton brothers, the Bodine brothers, the Green brothers, and the Walter brothers, all famous families, as you mentioned, and a great success here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Now, Ricky, I want to get back to Ryan for just a second. You raced with both his dad, Martin, and just a little bit with his brother, Martin Jr., if you want to call him that. What kind of genes does Ryan Truex have?
Well, we all know how good Martin Jr. is, but I want to give some attention to his dad. Martin Truex Sr. was an outstanding driver. He was very predictable, calculated, the kind of driver you could run side by side with Rusty lap after lap. And these boys inherited all of that, so that was very valuable. On top of that, some great guidance, not only from his brother, but his dad, because his dad's been through it all. He was a good racer. The one thing I left out about Martin Truex Sr. was he's very fast and a winner. And we've seen that in Martin Jr., and we're going to see it in Ryan.
I think we'll see that eventually. He's already got a great start to it this weekend. Now, when we come to the St. Louis area, of course, we think of the Wallace family, brothers and sons. And if you think about the success that they've had in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, it's a bunch. Now, Rusty, even though all these starts don't really crisscross with each other, you raced with your brothers and your son a couple of different times. What was it like to race with family?
Well, it's tough. It really is. I mean, look, I got to tell you, I've been real fortunate enough. I've been able to drive really good cars my whole life. Team Penske, how do you get much better than that? And really, the brothers didn't have as good of cars as I had. And when I was out there running along, and if I seen them having a bad day, I really agonized inside the car. It really bothered me. But I guess one of the coolest times I've ever had with the brothers was definitely down here in St. Louis in 2005 when they dedicated their Turn 1 and 2 grandstands to us. And that was my last time that I ever drove with the brothers, and it was right here at Gateway.
And it was the first time that you raced here, and they had a big celebration and even put a big banner for you up at the grandstand there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It really was. You see it right here, the family dedication in July 30th, 2005. Everybody was here. It was a big, big day, and the sign's up, but I think that the pictures kind of fell down now.
They've changed a little bit over time.
Yeah.
Now, brother Kenny has had a little bit of a rough go so far in this season, but he's still in there swinging, and he's standing by with Shannon Spake.
Dave, Kenny just told me to remind everyone looking at those stats just how good he is in this series. And the guys here, the fans here at Gateway, they think you're great too, Kenny. What's the emotion like when you race here?
I think Carl Edwards said it best when he won here 2 or 3 years ago. You know, out of all the Cup races Carl Edwards has won, he said, you know, this was the biggest. You always dream, it's always a dream to come back and win in front of your friends.
Well, there was a story out this week that you said if the sponsorship deal doesn't change next year and if the performance deal doesn't change, next year, 2011, could be your last full-time season in the Nationwide Series. How difficult was that decision?
Well, you know, I'm a Wallace, and my dad won a lot of races, and the whole Wallace family, you know, we have expectations. And I want to make sure I explain this perfectly clear. I said it, and I still mean it. At this time next year, if it's August in 2011, and I'm still running around 25th spot, and I don't have a sponsor to where I can start running the top 15, I'm going to have to start looking at maybe getting some money together where I can go fast for 15 or 20 races. That's most important to me and our whole family.
All right, Kenny Wallace, absolutely a fan favorite here at St. Louis. All the fans in the stands looking at this Wallace down here. Dave?
All about going fast here, Shannon. And Rusty's son, Steven, in the show tonight. He will start 9th tonight in a pretty quick number 66 car. Well, lately in NASCAR Nationwide Series news, it's been all about the 3s. But what about the 33? Kevin Harvick is next on Countdown.
Back at Gateway International Raceway, just across the bridge from the great city of St. Louis, home of the Cardinals. There's Stan Musial, and of course the iconic St. Louis Arch, which defines the skyline. Believe it or not, that sits 630 feet tall. I bet you didn't know that. The countdown clock is ticking, and we're getting closer to the green flag. Action here at the Gateway International Raceway in just about 42 minutes. Drivers will get the command to start their engines, and they're starting to mill around. There's a look at your point leader, Brad Keselowski, getting his thoughts together, and your pole sitter, Trevor Bayne, also sharing some of his thoughts with some of the other young drivers. Unless they're running for the Nationwide Series title, well, they're probably not here if they're a Cup Series driver, unless, of course, you're this guy. And, of course, that's Kevin Harvick. You can almost understand why, though. He's been so successful at this racetrack over the course of time. Over the years, Harvick has put together some pretty good numbers. A couple of wins here, back-to-back fashion, coming in 2000 and 2001. Both cases, he was the dominant driver, leading the most laps, dominating the race. Harvick, of course, here tonight looking for St. Louis win number 3. And Harvick's numbers awfully gaudy. We'll take a look at those. Very impressive. With 2 wins, he's won half the Nationwide Series races he started here. He's finished outside the top 5 just once. In total, he's led over 300 laps here. And Doc, as we saw earlier this afternoon, it's not just the Nationwide cars he's pretty good at.
Exactly. He has been awfully good driving his own truck here, NASCAR Camping World Truck. He was trying to get his 3rd win of the season in the truck race, which had been postponed for darkness last night, and he ran it at 12:30 today. And indeed it was Happy Harvick who was celebrating in victory lane. So Kevin won that race in spite of the fact that he was not feeling very well. And Kevin, we understand you had a little back pain, a little neck pain. How you feeling now?
I'm feeling a lot better. As the race went on, I think the heat really helped me, and everything started to settle, and I started to relax, and I was actually able to get out of the car. So that was a huge improvement from earlier.
So the prescription I should give people for back pain is to get in a race car for 160 laps and let the heat and humidity help you.
Well, I think the heat here is a little bit more extreme than a lot of places that we go to. It's definitely hot during the race today, but good day for our Stubbs Chevrolet, and just glad we got that one out of the way, and hopefully we can do it again tonight.
You have won here twice. We just showed the highlight. Yet this week you have gone away from your typical setup that you've been so successful with here. Why?
Well, we just, Kyle's been better than us, and we've been we found the speed. We just haven't found the compromise in where you need to have the thing loose or tight, and what you need in between during the race. So I feel like we've had a lot of experience with it today. With the truck, it was pretty much the same. Got a little bit loose in qualifying and didn't qualify as well as we wanted to, but I really feel like our Jimmy John's Chevrolet is going to be pretty good tonight, and we just got to not make mistakes and put ourselves in position at the end.
Hey, good luck in the doubleheader.
Thank you.
Kevin Harvick trying to win 2 in a row here on the same day at Gateway. Guys?
It doesn't happen very often, Doc, and Kevin sure could do it because he knows how to get around here. When we were talking about getting around this track earlier this week, we started talking about reference tracks, other tracks that you think of when you think of Gateway. And there was one I didn't understand. The one I do understand is Phoenix, Rusty. Let's look at the tracks, and why do you compare these two?
Well, absolutely. Take a look at the shape of the racetrack. The entry at Turn 1 is what's really stands out for me from Phoenix to St. Louis. And I used to come here and test, and I would actually test here, get tuned up, and I did go to Phoenix, Arizona, and won the race with the setup that I learned here in St. Louis. So if you take a look at the front straightaway here at St. Louis, and you go down it, take a look at to the left, right here, that's Phoenix, Arizona, the right, St. Louis. There's buildings going into turn 1, so the visuals of the driver feel exactly the same. A very tight entry into turn 1. It opens up a little bit. And when you get down into turn 3, the same thing happens again, real wide. So that track was very close for me.
So that one I get. And then you said Pocono, and I'm like, Pocono? What in the world? That's 2.5 miles. This is $1.25. Why?
I probably totally confused you on that one. Because Pocono and St. Louis are much the same. It's all about compromise. You got to get the car right in 1 and 2, but turn 3 and 4 is totally different. So I'm thinking, man, compromise, Ricky, that's what I needed here.
Yeah, Rusty, okay, so we lost Dave, but I'm with you because I've driven all 3 of these tracks, and you're exactly right. When you have 2 different tracks, different radius, different banking, you can only confuse your team by saying, hey, I'm struggling here and I'm struggling on the other end. You have to choose. I'm going to take responsibility for one set of corners, and then I'm going to focus with the team on the other set. And logically, you want to be best on turns 3 and 4 because that's the one that brings you back to the checkered flag.
Ricky, take us for a lap now. Kevin Harvick is going to take the 33 car on this gateway. Here he goes into turn 1.
Yeah, heavy braking, more like a short track. And you have to have the discipline to maintain the bottom, go back to the gas as quickly as possible, like a short track, let it drift to the wall. Down here at the other end, 3 and 4, you have a few more options, and this is why you can tune to the car. You can give some good feedback and say, I need this or I need that. They can make adjustments that really show up, but you can carry more speed into the corner, sort of diamond the track by drifting up, letting the car rotate, and then it's all about speed on the exit. We focus that at Pocono, right, Rusty? The last turn at Pocono is the most critical, and we focus the same here at Gateway. Turn 4, it's all about carrying speed from the middle of 3 and 4 off to the start-finish line.
And, buddy, I totally agree with you also. I mean, that's a great explanation.
You sold me. I get it. I understand. And the B word that he used going down into turn number 1 is important here, brakes. You got to have them, and they're definitely going to be a big factor tonight. Tim Brewer filed this report for us from the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Tonight, as the sun goes down in St. Louis, you're going to see something happening to the front wheels of the car. These brake rotors right here, they're going to start glowing bright red. The crew chief, he's going to be hollering to the driver, cut these bead blowers on right here. Conducting airflow in this area contains that air pressure buildup. The air pressure, when a heat transfers from the rotor to the tire itself, it makes the car think it's got stiffer front springs in, not enabling the car to turn through the center of the corner. So if you can control the air pressure buildup using the airflow right here, you might have an opportunity to win a race here in St. Louis.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. That explains even more about what it takes to get around Gateway International Raceway. Got a championship going on. Carl Edwards picked up 50 points last week. Can he continue to do it and chase down Brad Keselowski, the current points leader, 227 ahead, but he's got someone pursuing him. We'll talk about them when we come back.
Starting 7th. Driving to number 18.
Back at the Gateway International Raceway, the excitement is starting to build as we get closer to green flag action. Drivers milling around. They've just been introduced, many of them on the back of the pickup trucks as they drive around, waving to the fans. Many who have come out here to bear the 90-plus degree temperatures. It is getting a little bit cooler, though, as the sun starts to drop. Look at Jason Leffler there. And let's take a quick look at the point standings now. We're just about a little bit past the halfway point in the season, and here's how the championship race is stacking up. Although Brad Keselowski slipped a little bit last week, running out of fuel in Chicago, he still sits atop the championship standings with a healthy 227-point lead. The man trying to close the gap is Carl Edwards. Edwards was able to slice 50 points off his deficit last week, but will need to continue that charge to capture the title. Does tonight mark another opportunity for Edwards? Let's check in with Shannon, who's with him.
Well, this is the 3rd season that Carl Edwards is hunting down that championship leader, trying to gain position on Brad Keselowski this year. What do you need to do differently this year that you haven't done the past 2 years that can make you successful doing that?
It's tough. It's a really good question, though. Our team, our Copart Fastenal team, has done a really good job of being consistent this year. We just haven't been very fast. We haven't won a bunch of races. So what we've got to do is take that win at Road America, capitalize on that momentum, and it'd be nice to win here tonight. But we just got to go win races, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of races left, and I think we can catch Brad if he just has a little misfortune. But proud to be driving the Aflac Future tonight. It's really cool of them to be on board, and the hometown crowd. This is one of the most fun races of the year for me.
The last 2 seasons, you've had very strong second halves, lots of wins. How does this team stack up to the teams of the past?
That's a good question, too. I think we're better. I believe we're better. I believe there are some things we need to work on to make our car just a little bit faster. But I wouldn't trade my guys for any of them. Not the guys at the shop and the engine department or my guys here on pit road. I think we've got the best team we've ever had, so we just have to go do it.
Carl Edwards rode his bike here to Gateway for this race this evening, looking to drive his car to victory lane.
Thanks, Shannon. Brad Keselowski, the points leader. And Brad, last weekend, the final few laps at Chicagoland, how much this week have you done the woulda, shoulda, coulda line and thought about what happened those final laps, including the pit stop?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. It's just the way it goes sometimes. You catch good breaks and bad breaks, and I've caught some really good breaks this year, and I just had a bad one. So that's the way it goes, and we'll just keep working on it moving forward. We still are competitive. That's the most important thing, and I'm happy being competitive, and know at the end of the day, when we all execute, we can win, and that was just one of those weekend flaws.
Still have a 227-point lead. Are you at the point now where you can take a deep breath and sort of relax a little bit, or do you still have to think about the big picture?
I don't think it's really my personality to relax, or this team's personality to relax. We need to keep pushing and moving forward. You know, as we've been talking before, the Carl can get hot at any time. He's that good of a driver and a great team over there. So I don't really feel comfortable with 200-some points, and we want to go out there and we still want to keep winning. So we think we've got discount tire Dodges that can do that, and this might be our week, so we're going to fight hard.
Have a good one tonight.
Thank you.
Dave Burns?
If you take a look at the last two summer charges that Carl has had, both have fallen short after his 2007 championship. 2008, a bit better, only fell 56 points to Boyer. Last year, a big 215 behind Kyle. But Ricky, as we look at that, Kyle talked about consistency they have, speed they need, and they need the 22 to have a little bad luck. How does he get all those and make that charge toward the end of the year?
Well, law of averages says the 22 is going to have some bad luck. They've been outstanding this year, but I like Carl Edwards' chances. The fact is he has the advantage of being a former champion, and he's lost one of these things before, and there is an advantage to having lost one. I talked to his crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer, and he said, Ricky, we're not going to show the urgency that we showed in 2008, where we had a full court press, and as a result, we made mistakes. We're going to be more calculated. We're going to look at this as though we've got the experience and we've won races, and we're just going to do what we know how to do.
Rusty, Brad talked about the fact that it's not in his nature to relax. So can he race that way toward the end of the season and hold Carl off?
I don't think he needs to change at all what he's been doing. That's got him where he is right now. Anytime a driver said, I'm going to change the way I'm driving, I'm going to drive easier, I'm going to drive harder, that just leads to mistakes. And so I don't agree with him changing anything, and I don't expect him to change anything. I think that's what he actually meant. Earlier in the year, he said, hey, after Daytona, I might change my driving style. I think at that point, he was worried about the new car, what might happen at Daytona, but I think we're back to normal with his mindset right now.
And I think the fans like that driving style, too. Keeps it exciting. Last week, as Doc and Brad talked about, he didn't have enough fuel to finish the race. Crew Chief Paul Wolf told me that he thought he did, but at the end of the race at Chicagoland, it didn't work out that way for the driver of the 22 car as they came to the final green-white checkered restart. Brad Keselowski drops out of the high line and down to the bottom of the field, almost clipping David Rudiman. You notice on the high side, Kyle Busch and the whole outside line slide up, putting Kyle right next to Joey Logano in the second starting position instead of the fourth starting position. Ricky Craven, you've driven in NASCAR series before, so did that surprise you at all? And should NASCAR have done anything different than what they did?
No, that did not surprise me. That's exactly what I expected. I know the rule. If I were in one of those cars, I would have slid up because I had done it before over and over again. And if we were sitting here debate it, you know what, it's too disruptive to do it any other way. You know, to get 43 cars to realign, it would take 15 minutes, and it would be no fun.
So, Rusty, basically, that was the way it was, and everybody should just live with that, right?
Well, that's been the rule forever and ever. I mean, nothing's changed at all, Dave. Anytime you have a problem in front of you, the car behind you moves straight up. Folks, if you watch the start of a race, if a guy's got to change an engine or has a problem, they put him tail back. They just move that line straight up. That's been the rule forever. Nothing's changed, although I can understand how it might be a little confusing to a new fan.
Well, and you know what? It was Kyle's time. He doesn't always get the breaks, but that was a huge break for Kyle last week at Chicagoland. Mike, I believe you've caught up with Jason Leffler.
I have indeed, and certainly one of the emerging stories this week is that of Jason Leffler. It appears things are on the upswing. You guys have been inside the top 10 over the last several weeks. It seems like the performance has improved. What's been the difference?
Well, just having a little consistency with the crew. You know, we got Eddie Pardue that came on board here, and just having a leader there and get everybody in the right direction. Guys have been working their butts off at Braun, and everybody on the Great Clips Camry's been doing a great job. Our car is not as good as I would like here, but, the race, when you get in the race, things change, and looking forward to it.
You say it's not as good as you would like here. What would you like to see it be better at?
Well, it just needs to turn a little better. I mean, the front end, it's not working the way you want it, so then you unhook the back to try to get it to turn. So we're just sliding around, but all in all, we'll make the most of it tonight, and we'll go on to ORP next week.
There was a truck race here earlier this afternoon. Lots of rubber on the racetrack. How do you think that'll impact things?
Well, I mean, I think, the track's going to be slick here for a while. It was certainly slick qualifying, but as the sun goes down, it'll probably help grip a little bit. But I don't know, we're ready for anything. So, like I said, our car is, we don't know what we're going to have, so we're ready to make any kind of change we need to.
Ready for anything, and has a little bit of momentum, too. A top 5 finish a week ago in Chicago. Hey, folks, still some great baseball action coming up on ESPN this week. First, it's Sunday Night Baseball as Ryan Howard and the Phillies take on Alfonso Soriano and the Cubs at 8 Eastern. Then on Monday Night Baseball, it's the Phillies again, this time taking on Albert Pujols and the St. Louis Cardinals. Both games are also available on ESPN3.com. Don't go away, folks. Still plenty to come here on NASCAR Countdown as we get closer and closer to green flag action here at the Gateway International Raceway. The excitement is starting to build. The drivers are moving closer to their cars. They'll be buckling in. Not too long from now, you can look at the countdown to green clock. Just over 24 minutes. We'll be racing here just outside the heart of downtown St. Louis. Closing in on the green flag in just over 22 minutes. It'll be time to go racing here on the outskirts of St. Louis. 200 laps, the scheduled distance at the Gateway International Raceway. There's a look at your point leader, Brad Keselowski, looking for a little bit of redemption after running out of fuel in the closing laps a week ago in Chicago. And there's a look at his teammate Justin Allgaier, one of the hometown boys, grew up in Riverton, Illinois, just over about 100 miles away from here. Time now for our J-Ski news and notes, recapping some of the week's headlines. Between the 7 and 88 cars, Junior Motorsports has fielded 13 different drivers this season. Eric Almirola will become the 14th as he'll drive the 88 next week at ORP. To commemorate the historical significance of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s emotional Daytona win a couple weeks back, the 3 Wrangler car has been put on display at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And Braun Racing will field a car next week at the Brickyard for former F1 champ and Indy 500 winner Jacques Villeneuve. As if he qualifies, it'll be his 3rd career Sprint Cup Series start. Let's head back out to the grid and catch up with Doc Punch.
Thank you very much, Mike. If you're anything like me, you love to hear stories where athletes and organizations give back to those who are less fortunate. Well, such was the case 2 weeks ago in Florida when the V Foundation and the NASCAR Foundation joined together to donate $500,000 to the Shands Children's Hospital. It was a special day at Shands because some of the patients were there. You see some of the artwork they have painted on the ceiling. The monies were to go to outfit a pediatric oncology or cancer treatment ward. There would be race cars. There would be rooms inside where the patients would come in and be able to play with their favorite NASCAR toys and games. There would be information about the V Foundation. And by the way, even a Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Tebow, donated $100,000 for this room right here for flat screen TVs for kids to be able to come out and enjoy themselves while undergoing a very, very difficult treatment. A great story. The V Foundation, wouldn't Jimmy V be proud? The NASCAR Foundation, Bill Jr. would love something like this. And Tim Tebow, a Heisman Trophy winner, coming together to help those that could not help themselves. Mike?
And thank you, Doc. You can feel the energy here on pit road as the drivers are mentally getting prepared, and we're going to catch up with another one who's with Shannon Spake.
Well, we are actually chasing down Brendan Gaughan. We were talking a little bit earlier, and you were joking about the fact that you've lost 40 pounds, and you say that that's the reason why you've improved. But in all seriousness, what has been the biggest reason for this team's improvement?
Well, we talked about at the start of the year, Toyota coming on board. It wasn't going to be a magical pill that all of a sudden made things work. Brad came in the door, and Jason Stalker came in the door, and Scott McDougal, and you had all new crew chiefs with new drivers and all the new engineering, and it was going to take a while to assimilate into the team, and it's been assimilated. We've been going to tests. We've been doing more and more, and now our Camrys are getting up to speed. And you look at Stephen and I, the last bunch of races, don't have all the finishes, but we have been fast. Each week, one of us is always fast. So we believe that both of us can do it again today.
All right, Brendan Gaughan starting 4th this evening. Great qualifying effort for the 62. Mike?
And one of the good stories in the field, Shannon, revolves around Kelly Byers. It has not been the year you had expected, but this marks a pretty good opportunity for you. What's the year been like for you?
I'd obviously like to be racing week in, week out in the Nationwide Series. But this weekend, Baker Curb really stepped up and gave me an opportunity to drive this 27 car. And they're lacking sponsorship. I'm lacking a ride. It's kind of a joint venture where hopefully we go out there and put a good run on the board this week and can attract sponsorship.
What are the expectations for tonight?
Well, we were actually really good in practice. I think we were good enough to be a good strong top 10 car, but we got a terrible qualifying draw, and it just really put us back here ways in the field. So we'll spend a good first half of the race getting back up to where we belong, and then getting in position for later on in the race.
I know it's been difficult for you trying to showcase your talents, proving that you belong in this series. How important is it for you to put on a good show tonight?
Well, as a driver, you put on the best show you can every time you get in a car, and you just try to do hard. And when you got everything stacked up against you, it's even more difficult. The pressure's on for you to perform. But we've got a great car, a great group of guys here working on the car, and look for us to have a good night.
What's the track going to be like? Lots of rubber out there. It's been pretty hot, but the sun's going down now.
I don't think anyone knows, to be honest with you. I talked to a couple people from the truck race, and they said their stuff was pretty tight, but a lot of rubber on the track. I'd assume it would go tight as the night goes.
Well, best of luck.
All right, thank you.
And Kelly Byers rolls off 29th tonight, trying to show the racing world that he is more than able to be here. He's got the talent. He's just trying to show it off here tonight. Hey, folks, thanks for being with us here on Countdown. You can feel the excitement in the air. Temperature starting to drop here a little bit, getting a little bit cooler as the sun begins to set. The lights are going on here at Gateway. That's a great sign. That wraps it up for Countdown. When we return, we'll be ready to go green flag racing here at Gateway. The sun is beginning to set behind the grandstands here in Madison, Illinois, just on the outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri. The excitement's starting to build as we move closer to race time. Fans settling in their seats, drivers getting ready. There's a look at Kevin Harvick, Tony Raines as well. 250 miles is the scheduled distance tonight, and you can feel the anticipation in the air. Lots of excitement here at Gateway. Time now to go trackside for tonight's invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask now that you please rise and remove your hats as we continue to honor our great nation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in Victory Lane, representing our colors for tonight's Missouri-Illinois Dodge Dealers 250 is the color guard out of Scott Air Force Base's 126th Air Fueling Wing. And now, for tonight's invocation, Mr. Greg Dessard from Midwest Racing Ministries.
Hear our prayer, O Lord, as we come seeking your guidance and grace here with us tonight. Father, we pray that you would provide safety on and off the track, be with the drivers and their crews, watch over them. And Father, give us an exciting but safe race tonight. Bless this night of racing, for it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
And now singing the national anthem of the United States of America. Please welcome John Flaster of the Little Rock Fire Department.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain John Flaster of the Little Rock Fire Department.
And we're just moments away from the green flag. Drivers climbing aboard their machines, starting to buckle in. Teams high-fiving, getting pumped up, getting their game faces on. Look at Brendan Gaughan putting his Hans device on. Flyover has been completed. We're just about ready to go green flag racing, folks. Stick with us. Still plenty to come here as we get set to go racing here at Gateway International Raceway.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Gateway is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win a Roush Ford Mustang.
Welcome back to Gateway International Raceway as we close in on the green flag. Just moments to go. Drivers collecting their thoughts as they get set to put their helmets on and get set to go 200 laps of racing. Before we do, though, let's get some additional thoughts from our pit reporters, beginning with Shannon.
Mike, Kevin Harvick already a winner here at Gateway today. He won the truck race just hours ago. Now, Harvick was also experiencing some major pain in his neck. He pulled a muscle on the left side. They had a driver on standby, Austin Dillon, in case Harvick could not race tonight, but he says he's feeling better. In fact, he says he thinks the heat has loosened it up, so now he's in the car, getting ready to make it 2 wins on the day. Doc?
Well, Shannon, 9 of 13 races here have been won by drivers 25 years of age or younger, and twice they were rookie drivers. 4 of the top 7 starters behind me are 25 years of age or younger, and 2 of those are rookies. Could tonight be the night that another young hopeful here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series realizes a dream by driving in to victory lane? Dave Burns?
Well, Doc, we've talked about a lot of things here tonight. Guys, let's reset it real quick. What to watch for here at Gateway tonight. Ricky?
Drivers will be occupied all night, David, with the uniqueness of this racetrack. It has a super speedway experience, 2,000-foot front stretch, back stretch, but short track turns, Rusty, and they're going to have to manage one other thing. The turns 1 and 2 are completely different than turns 3 and 4. What's required to go fast down here in 1 and 2 is completely different than down on the other end. They're going to be managing that all night.
Rusty, what are you looking for?
Well, there's some really good points, Ricky. But one thing I'm really concerned about is the restarts in the front straightaway. This is a very narrow front straightaway, much like Phoenix, Arizona. We see a lot of wrecks on the restarts. Folks, this is something we're going to pay attention to, and the drivers will too, because I would guarantee you one thing. I believe we will see wrecks on the restarts.
And if it happens and you're in the back and you'll have nowhere to go, that's the big issue.
This is like getting jammed up on a freeway. Somebody stops in front of you, you don't see it, you end up cramming in the back of them, and it causes a big mess, tears the radiators out, messes the backs of the cars up, and your driver's sitting there going, what in the world just happened?
The best spotter in the world can't save him, Rick.
No, because you don't have the reaction time for it, particularly the further back in the line, because things close up quicker.
All right. Well, earlier today, we learned about Justin Allgaier and his great relationship with wife Ashley and a little bit more about him. He grew up about 100 miles from here, and he has the big privilege tonight of being able to set the command to start things here tonight. We've seen that before, but I think it's the first time we've seen it certainly this year in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. So, to get things started here tonight, let's go down trackside and hear from the driver of the Verizon Wireless Dodge Charger.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, leading you, the greatest fans in racing, to command to fire those engines, we want to introduce Mr. Tim Reno and Justin Allgaier.
How are we doing, St. Louis? On behalf of Gateway International Raceway and myself, thank you guys all very much for coming out and braving the heat for the Missouri-Illinois Dodge Dealers 250. And especially thank the Allgaier section, because you guys are in full force tonight, so thank you. But on the count of 3, you're going to join us in Gentlemen Start Your Engines. So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
You go crank it up. Let me know when it's running. It'll probably be a minute. You got me there? Yeah, you got me. Yeah, well, I'm clear. I will say his section is fuller than any other section. 10-4. Cages look good. Everything's cool. All right.
Oh, that's a good sound. 43 NASCAR Nationwide Series cars fired up and ready to go for 200 laps here tonight, 250 miles the total distance. One of them you saw there in the lower right of your screen was our in-race reporter, Brad Coleman, who has gotten the 18 fired up. Rusty, why don't you see if you can call him up and ask him a question or two.
Hey, Brad, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
I got you. How's it going up there in the booth?
Going pretty good. Hey, Brad, you set your car up this morning, but since then, they've run a truck race, and with all that extra rubber on the racetrack, man, any concerns about your setup for tonight's race?
No, not really. I got a pretty good feel for what the track's like here in qualifying, so just excited to get out there and get this thing underway. I love this track. Awesome racetrack, and night racing's always fun, so see if we can get this Safeway Driving Center's Toyota to the front.
All right, Brad, we got an ESPN mailbag question that comes from Mary in Anaheim, California. The question is, how much pressure do you feel being in a car that Kyle Busch won in last week and won here in last year?
There's definitely some pressure for sure. It's not coming from the team, though. They're doing a great job at making sure I'm relaxed and just doing what the car will give me. But, you know, I always put the pressure on myself. But I'm just going to go out there and take care of this thing and see where we got at the end.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking with us. Have a great race.
Thank you.
Brad Coleman, not the only special reporter we've got working tonight on pit road. Over the wall for us will be Todd Foster, rear tire changer for the 38 car of Jason Leffler. Todd's a 12-year veteran in NASCAR. 6 of those years, buddy, were spent with the championship 20 team for Tony Stewart and 2 championship rings. What do you do with that bling when it's time to change tires? Don't they get in the way?
No, I keep those things safely locked away at home, but what I am focused on tonight is winning a trophy for this number 38 Great Clips race team.
All right, appreciate it, man. Good luck to you. He'll have some tough duty down there. They start 24 tonight. Todd will be part of the helping to get them back toward the front. There's Leffler's car. When we come back, we will set the grid and throw the green flag on tonight's action. Back at Gateway International Raceway, the cars have fired. They've rolled off pit lane, and they're heading around on just their final pace laps. As you see the grid scroll across the top of the screen, see your favorite, see where he's starting. And guys, even looking at the start of the grid, we know that a lot of these guys are going to be on-board cameras for us tonight. Justin Allgaier and the Verizon Wireless on board. Brad Coleman, our in-race reporter, the Safeway Driving School on-board camera. The number 22, Brad Keselowski, will have our Dodge on board. Kenny Wallace, the Nationwide Insurance camera. Jimmy John's camera on Kevin Harvick's car. Jason Leffler will be carrying the Great Clips camera. Stephen Wallace with the 5-hour energy on board. And Mike Wallace, the Bandanas Barbecue on board camera. Let's get some final thoughts from pit road. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dave, in a sport where momentum and confidence are huge, rookie Brian Scott has a whole lot of both. You know, last week, Brian finished a career best 3rd at Chicagoland, and tonight, the former sprint car ace has a car and a crew that believes it is their turn to roll a rookie into victory lane. Mike?
Well, Doc, one young driver who faces a little bit of adversity tonight is Michael Annett. He had a little bit of an incident in the second practice, scraped the wall and hurt an otherwise very good car. Still confidence relatively high. I asked him why he was so excited about this race despite the scarred race car. He said, well, last year, remember, we started in the back of the field and charged our way all the way to the front to score a 7th place finish. Annett feels like they can do the same thing tonight, but they do have quite a bit of work to do, but 200 laps to get it done. Shannon?
Well, Mike, we've heard about drivers pulling double duty, but tonight, John Reese, crew chief for the number 27, he's going to be pulling double duty. That's because he's also the jack man. So this is how it's going to work. When the caution comes out, the team has estimated that he will have just over a minute to get off of the pit box. First, he's got to make the call, then get off of the pit box, put on his helmet, put on his gloves, get over the wall and do his job. A bigger issue, look at how close they are to pit in. They really wanted a pit box further down pit road. This was all they could get. A very busy night for John Reese tonight.
How about that, Rusty? You ever have a crew member going over the wall and sitting on top of the box?
Well, every now and then, you know, the crew chief, he just gets tired of trying to tell the guys what to do. He just jumps off and does it himself. So I've seen in the past, that's not the way they do it of late, though.
Let's look at our race analysis before we get going here, guys. We know that there's 43 cars in the field. Standard operating procedure for NASCAR. 250 miles, 45 mile per hour pit speed. And the pit window And we got to think about that. 70 to 75 laps, but we have had trouble calculating fuel mileage here in the past. Ricky, why?
Well, it's not easy because you have such a drop in RPM through the middle of the corners because of the high braking, particularly turns 1 and 2. And if a driver really does a good job down there, you gain more RPM on the backstretch, you burn more fuel, and it messes everybody up on pit road.
And you remember last year, Kevin Harvick leading this race runs out of fuel, so it even happens to the best of us.
And were you ever able to tell your crew chief how you were doing on fuel consumption during the run?
Many times, yes. And if my car's tight, if I'm pushing in front of it, that means I'm burning a lot more fuel. If the car's a little free, I'm burning less fuel. So you got to tell them that so they can calculate that in.
Jerry Baxter, crew chief of the pole sitter, watching the field come through turn number 3. This is the 14th time the Nationwide Series has raced here at Gateway. In 13 races, only one has been won from the pole. That was Martin Truex back in 2004. But the last 6, the winners have all been from the top 3. That bodes well for Bain, Braun, and Brad. Let's see how they can do coming out of turn 4. Beautiful night here at Gateway International Raceway, and we are green at Gateway.
Green flag, green flag.
Trevor Bain, Ricky, you've talked about him all day long after that pole run. He is fast and diving into turn 1.
Yeah, he had a lot of confidence in his car during practice. He backed it up in qualifying, and he's basically picked up where he left off.
Yeah, take a look at Colin Brown right there. He kind of got hung out on the outside. He's moved from 2nd back to 3rd right now. Keselowski jumps there, and here comes Brendan Gaughan on the outside.
There's that points leader going to the outside. Gaughan going to the outside. We didn't say earlier we thought maybe there wasn't a high line next to the wall. Well, if there's a high line of any kind, Brendan will look for it. He now works on Paul Menard.
This will be a big test for Trevor Bain. If Keselowski catches him, the wise thing to do for a young driver is to just give him the spot. You got a lot to learn following somebody like Keselowski.
Well, Ricky, that's a good point. They were early in the race, only 2 laps into 200. And we talked earlier in our countdown show, these track conditions are going to change like crazy throughout the night. You see Carl Edwards getting around to 33 at Kevin Harvick there, getting down to turn 3.
That's for 7th position. Carl takes that over. And now on the back bumper of Brian Scott.
I'm curious how the veterans are going to manage the traffic. It's no doubt they're coming to the front, but are they going to show the patience that's required here at Gateway to maneuver through these guys?
Single file down into turn number 1, except for Allgaier, who looks to the outside of Shelby Howard. And we saw he doesn't get much traction out there. We also saw the lead being challenged. Here goes Keselowski to the inside. He will get by Bain going into 3.
Keselowski was fastest in most of practice sessions here at Gateway, the first 2 practice sessions this morning. So, guys, this isn't much of a surprise because I think this team is really good at figuring out these changing track conditions and what they needed to do.
What Ricky talked about, Bain following in behind, seeing if he can learn from the veteran. Carl now getting pressure from Kevin Harvick in the 33 car, the Truck Series race winner earlier today. Harvick darts to the inside.
The fact that Trevor is running 2nd now doesn't suggest he has an inferior car. It may suggest that he's just wanting to use a little more experience. Look at these guys. You got quite a mix here, quite a disparity in experience, inexperience. They all have talent, but you got guys that have raced here a lot.
And guys, I'm looking at Colin Brown. He doesn't look really comfortable with his race car right now. He cannot keep contact with those front 2.
Well, I think the key thing we need right now, guys, is a pit stop, about 20 laps into this thing or 30 to see where they're at. Because people are really still trying to figure out what their car is doing and what's going to happen. But the guy right there in the 33 car, Kevin Harvick, he won the truck race this afternoon. He's got a good feel what's going to happen with this racetrack.
Folks, that is 160 laps of track time on race day that Harvick got earlier today, in addition to the trophy that he got in victory lane. Shelby Howard still getting pressure from Justin Allgaier now through turns 3 and 4, and Reed Sorensen battling Matt DiBenedetto on the inside.
Yeah, Sorensen loves this racetrack, guys. He's already told us about it. He's won here twice. This is one of his favorite tracks. And another driver that really feels like he's got this place figured out. That, Ricky, I know there's many tracks you went to, like New Hampshire, that stands out. When you got there, you felt, baby, that was your place. You own that joint.
Yeah, and Rusty, you roll in right from the very beginning of the weekend and you say, I understand this track. I know all the little uniquenesses about it. So I can take advantage of drivers here, here, or here. And he's got a playbook. Reed Sorensen has a playbook for this track, and he's going to use it in these 200 laps.
98 Paul Menard runs in the 4th position, actually 5th right now for Menard. Right behind him, Harvick, and then this battle between Scott and Edwards for 7th position.
I tell you, the number 11 car of Brian Scott, really a good guy to watch. I mean, we watched him last week at Chicago, finished third. This guy's been getting better and better every single week.
Carl looking to the inside now, battling with Brian Scott. And here comes Steve Wallace, the 66 car, looking down to the inside as well. And Scott getting a little impatient with Carl Edwards. He wants to go in the middle of the corner.
Steven did a great job there because he got position on the exit of the turn, which is what you do when you're a short track racer. Again, long straightaways, but you have to approach it like a short track.
Brian Scott holds down that 8th position. It will now be taken by Stephen Wallace. Wallace to 8th, Scott back to 9th. Now, we haven't mentioned Brad Keselowski for a while now. The points leader is leading this race, and boy, he has put some distance on Trevor Bayne, the pole sitter. Keselowski's car hooked up right now at Gateway International in the early stages of this 200-lap event. You heard Justin Allgaier give the command with the crowd's help to start engines here tonight. You want a little bit more? Well, Verizon Wireless customers can text CHAMPION to 43776 for exclusive champion chats, content for our NASCAR Now roundtable experts, and who knows, maybe we'll get Justin on the line as well at some point. Justin right now running in the 10th position. Started 16th, so he's moved up a couple of spots, guys, and seems like his car is handling pretty well at this point, but up front it has been all bad Brad all the time. Keselowski, after he got by the pole sitter Trevor Bayne, he's just lengthened his lead.
And guys, we're at a point now in the race where the drivers can give some great feedback to their crew chief because the air pressures have built up, Rusty. The car's doing now what it's going to do for the next 30, 40, 50 laps. You don't want to give too much feedback early on low air pressure or late with worn out tires. This setup here, this period of the cycle, is what will win you the race.
Oh, there's a lot of guys out there racing right now have been waiting for lap 15 or 20 or something like that, just like you said, Ricky, to know where their car is at. Now, one thing I think they also need to be aware of, that this thing is going to change again. It'll change throughout the night, the way the track conditions change, because right now here in St. Louis, the sun's really starting to set, lights are starting to come on, things are getting cooler.
Shelby Howard in the 14th position right now, getting pressure from Matt DiBenedetto in the 20 car, the Joe Gibbs Racing car that has been so successfully campaigned this year by Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. It's a good battle, guys. It's still side by side going into 3.
Bunch of young drivers in here. You know, you look just a little bit behind, you see Ryan Truex.
Ricky Stenhouse in the 6 car. I mean, these guys are all fighting.
Well, take a look at Shelby Howard in the number 70 car. Now, this is a Kevin Harvick car. We talked about it. A Richard Childress engine, a Kevin Harvick car. And I started to say, boy, the body, the way that car's shaped, just looks like Harvick's car. Now I understand why. They just told us about that. And speaking of Harvick, he's working outside on Colin Brown right now.
These are still the cars that you can be a little bit creative with, right, Rusty, in order to get them through the air the way that you want to.
Well, we won't see that next year, Ricky, with the new car. The tolerances are much tighter. These guys can get away with a little bit more here.
Let's get more on Kevin Harvick from Shannon.
Kevin Harvick really moving through the field. Started 10th. He is now up to 3rd, you guys. We talked about the benefit of running the truck race. Huge benefit for this number 33 car. Actually, they started this weekend with the same setup that they had in the truck car. Kevin just came over the radio and told Ernie Cope, coincidentally his crew chief from the Cup race, that I want air pressure just like we did on the truck. So definitely things crossing over.
Yeah, great experience all afternoon running out here, but Ernie out in the hot sun. That was the only downside of this whole thing on his 41st birthday. He got that present sitting under the hot sun.
Dave, you mentioned the hot sun. I was concerned, and still am concerned, which teams or cars may have over-adjusted because of the loose conditions during qualifying. You know, maybe spooked themselves and said, I got to tighten this car up. And, of course, as the track cools, they get grip. But there'll be some big adjustments when they come down pit road.
That's a good point, Ricky. I mean, you know, sitting how much to adjust your car from extreme heat, a truck race, all these variables that got thrown on these guys today that they normally don't get accustomed to.
Oh, big disappointment for Alex Kennedy. He'd been running well. He'd been actually made up a lot of positions since the start of the race. He's got a right front tire down. This is his first start here at Gateway. Let's watch what happens. Ricky, got out of shape in 3 and 4.
Yeah, the tire obviously had already failed, and that was a great save under those circumstances.
Again, Alex, this is his, he was supposed to only race road courses this year. But the folks from his area in New Mexico, where he raced as a youngster, they got together and decided to, put up some more cash for him to get this right at Gateway as well.
Now here comes the leader. He's going a lap down, but boy, you see how slow he's going? He's doing that on purpose. You heard his crew chief say, go slow, because these tires start unraveling, and they'll tear the quarter panel of the car clear off. They'll demolish it and put you right out of the race. Completely.
No coming back from that. Brad Keselowski continuing to dominate here at Gateway. The Open Championship continues on ESPN tomorrow with final round action from the old course at St. Andrews. The field's swinging for that Claret Jug. The final round of the Open Championship on ESPN and ESPN3.com tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And as we ride on board with Mike Wallace here, I want to point out a couple of things here. First of all, only a Wallace would have that much advertising in his windshield. He's got bandanas on this weekend, the barbecue folks. And then the other thing, Rusty, as we look at his the head guard and his helmet, it really shows just how much the body moves, even so in these cars, how high his eyes are above it, and what happens in the corner.
Yeah, take a look at this distance right now between the top of his visor and the headrest. When he gets in the corners, his whole body compresses almost a full inch. The G-forces in this corner are pretty big into turn 1 and 3, and you can see how the spine compresses, the whole body goes down. Look, he's almost 2 inches, Ricky, above his, from his visor to the top. Now watch him go in a corner.
And that's why you readjust the belts also. You hear tighten those belts, because when you take off at the start of the race, you don't have that sensation. After a few laps, you need to give him another pull.
Mike Wallace currently running in the 28th position. We do want to tell you that a few drivers weren't able to continue tonight and have dropped out of the race early. Mark Green, Dennis Setzer, Johnny Sauter, Johnny Chapman, Kevin Swindell, Brian Keselowski. Kevin LePage hasn't reported out completely yet. Neither has Daniel Quinn Jr., but they have all the signs of starting the race but not continuing it. Chase Miller, same story. Here is the battle between Carl Edwards and Paul Menard. That is for 6th.
Those guys have been racing back and forth, and their times are pretty good. Although I will tell you, our race leader, Brad Keselowski, out there running a time of 34.41. Folks, we talk stopwatch seconds in NASCAR, not really mile per hour that much. But he's about a 34.40, and Harvick has been running him down big time. Picked him up a 1/10 of a second that last time. So Harvick is one of the quickest guys on the track.
Joe Gibbs Racing teammates going at it for the 13th position. Matt DiBenedetto gets it now over our in-race reporter Brad Coleman. And DiBenedetto making a pretty good charge forward. He started this race 18th. And once again, he's all the way up to 13th, guys. Picked up 5 spots, and he's never been here before.
Well, he's doing what he's got to do right now. Get this team points. Don't wreck the car. Have a good, solid run. Brad Coleman's been doing that when Kyle Busch is not driving this car. Joey Logano usually drives a 20. And right now, they need to get experience, get some car owner points for Coach Joe Gibbs.
Rusty, 3 things, right? They need to, in this battle here, obviously, one young driver, run very well of late. Reed Sorensen has a strong history here.
He's going to let him go, Ricky, right?
Why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. Going for his 3rd win for the 32 right now.
See, Justin Allgaier, we thought that something might have happened to him. He really backed up a little bit. Looks like he got back going again. Might have get up out of the groove. Got some of that tire rubber on his tire. Let's take a look at it again. See if we can see what happened here. Oh, we got way high in the racetrack. Got a lot of rubber buildup on the right rear tire. I know this happened to both of us.
Takes at least a set of corners to get those tires cleaned up again, and to where you have the confidence to be aggressive with a gas pedal and the car through the corner.
Lost 2 positions there, and but like Alex Kennedy, he saved it. He didn't get in the wall, so he continues on, which is a good thing, and doesn't appear have a tire going down. So good news for Justin Allgaier.
Guys, we were talking about the younger drivers earlier. Here's what they have to manage. They have to understand their limits. They have to learn the limits of their car, and they have to learn the limits of this racetrack. That's something Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards don't have to worry about. They've been doing this long enough that they know where those limits are.
Well, guys, right now, let's check in for more on the 12 car from Mike Massaro. Mike?
And Dave, as we documented and counted at the top of the show, this track can be very finicky, especially as it gets a little bit cooler. And it's really seemingly affecting the 12 car. Justin Allgaier radioing in not too long ago saying the car is progressively getting tighter and tighter. And that's absolutely not what he wants in this race car right now.
Well, guys, we talked at the beginning about wouldn't it be nice to have that, maybe a caution to check things after about 20 laps or so. Well, we're 32 laps into this, halfway through a fuel run, and we have stayed green. No cautions yet. So they're dealing with what they've got.
Yeah, to me, that's pretty surprising, too. Usually we get a caution early in these races to when the cars aren't handling well. But these guys have had enough time right now to know exactly what their cars are doing and make some changes in their next stop. And a lot of them just can't wait till that happens because a lot of them are way off right now.
Reed Sorensen picking them off one by one. He's up to the 8th position after starting 13th, Shannon.
A little surprising because Reed Sorensen came on the radio earlier and said, guys, they are killing me on the straightaways. But I did speak with his crew chief. He told me, Reed, this is just one of those tracks that has always clicked with Reed. He really beats him in turn 1 and 2. Of course, he's looking for his 3rd win here at this track. They did tell me anything less than a win would be a disappointment for this team.
And I don't worry about Reed. Last week he had that vibration, the rotor. He finished 8th. I think he'll be fine.
And if you give up 50 feet in the middle of the corner, you lose a lot of horsepower down the straightaway.
Especially in turn 1 and 2. It's so tight off of turn 2. It takes a lot of power. And I can understand Reed saying, hey, my motor's off. But later on, when the car handles better, he'll have that power back.
Fixed it.
Take a look at these guys. Michael Annett in the 15 has been the biggest mover so far. He has picked up 15 spots and currently runs in the 18th position. Now just ahead of him, Ryan Truex. And, of course, Ricky Stenhouse in that backup car. Guys, it looks like he's gotten the handle on that as well. And they build them so that they're like the originals, but you still don't know until you get out there.
And this is where the guys back at the shop need to get some credit because the objective is that the second car, the car that you hope never to use, is as good as the first car. And this is proof that this team's got its act together.
Well, Ricky, that's a good point because nowadays people used to say, oh, we're getting a backup car out. Nowadays, it's just another car. They're equally as good. They didn't plan on wrecking it and using it, but when they do use it, it's that good.
Carl Edwards started in the 8th position. Now he's trying to take 5th position away from Brendan Gaughan. Off of 4, Gaughan has the advantage.
And Brendan has had a great start to this race. I think he's doing an outstanding job.
He loves running the top of the racetrack. He just can't stand the bottom of most racetracks. And I will promise you, when this track starts rubbering up and the groove gets higher and higher, you'll see him up there.
Whoa, and that's, wow, he lost it off that.
What happens when you're too high, too early into the run.
Oh, Brendan Gaughan losing that position, but he saves it. Another save here at Gateway tonight. Carl takes it over. There's Brad Kay. He's the leader. Kevin Harvick running in the 3rd position right now. Trevor Bayne, our pole sitter, he's running 2nd, and they're all trying to catch this guy, Brad Keselowski.
The Open Championship, tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
In front of the pack, in the winner's circle, at the top of your game. You like being ahead. When it comes to transporting your prized cargo, Featherlight Innovations puts you ahead of the curve. Way ahead.
Start your engine.
Hey, Nick. How's it going with the website?
Going great, Babs. Made it really easy for customers to manage their car insurance policy online.
Well, you know, that's why we have 24/7 support, so customers can call us anytime.
Does not compute. Error. Beep. Malfunction, Babs.
Haha, very funny.
Powering down.
We're not really robots.
I thought we were.
Call today or go to esurance.com.
My truck has enough torque to pull 70,000 people out of their seats.
My truck's got a serious mean streak. I don't know where I got that.
My truck's a 750 horsepower ego crusher.
My truck does forget to mind its manners a little bit. I apologize for that.
My truck doesn't mind getting scraped, but it loves getting drenched.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Tough trucks, tough racing.
Back with you here at the Missouri, Illinois Dodge Dealers 250. Here are some things we've been watching. Our race leader, Brad Keselowski, also the point leader, the 22, dominating so far, leading almost every lap. Michael Annett has been the biggest mover. He's picked up 15 spots in the 15 car. The highest running rookie, the confident and well-qualified Colin Brown, currently running fourth. Let's get more on our leader, Dr. Punch.
Ever since Brad Kay took the lead, the engineers here have been radioing him once a lap to give him his lap time and the lap time of Kevin Harvick. You can tell who they're really worried about. They'd say, Brad, you're a 34.50, he's a 34.60. You're a 55, he's a 65. Well, guess what? Now Harvick has gotten quicker and Brad has slowed down. The last 5 laps, Harvick has been quicker than our leader, Brad Kay. Now behind Brad Kay is Trevor Bayne, and Trevor Bayne is the young driver who sat on the pole here at the age of 19. Trevor's complaint is that the car is just too free in the middle of the corner. He said, I cannot get back in the throttle and get the car up off the corner. The good news for Trevor, the spotter and Michael Waltrip, who owns the car on top of the box, are watching other cars, see if they can help Trevor find a line. They've already told him that, look, Kevin Harvick is running up about the middle groove in the corners. Why don't you move there and see if it helps your drive off. Guys?
Thanks, Doc. Hey, Rusty, at the top of the show, we talked about you have to beat these Cup guys. And it's not that, Brad Kay isn't worried about Trevor Bayne, but he knows that Kevin Harvick, the wily veteran, those are the times he wants to hear so he knows what's going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they know that Kevin Harvick is strong here. Like we said, he won his very first Nationwide Series race here in 2000, won again in 2001, won the truck race today, as we already talked about. And again, this is one of Kevin's favorite racetracks. Now, the drivers know what tracks are good for other guys, and they know that Harvick's really good at this place, so they're concerned about him.
This is the battle for 7th. Menard trying to get around Gahn, and he's going to do it easily. Gahn giving way as they go down into turn 1. Now, Rusty, we've seen a couple of guys sort of lose it in the corners here. Let's look at Brad Coleman and talk about saving a race car.
Let's take a look at this because, I mean, I don't know if I'm the one that really needs to talk about him saving a race car in this situation, because I think Ricky Craven is the best at this. Let's take a look at it, Ricky.
Yeah, what he does here, folks, is he surrenders. He lets the car roll. He really does. And Rusty, actually, you made a point earlier about when you lose control of the car on corner entry, how it feels like being on snow. So everybody back in New England is going to love this, okay? When you lock up the brakes, grab the wheel, it doesn't do anything. You lose control. So it's the same in a race car. You go in the corner, you surrender, let the car slow itself down, and he saved it.
It's like driving snow. That's where you come from, right, buddy?
Surrender. I love it. Well, this guy's going to have to surrender his big lead right now because we've had our first caution, and it is for debris on the racetrack. Some going into 3, some on the backstretch. NASCAR, in the interest of safety, throwing the caution at this point, and you see the caution car coming out to lead this field around for its first round of pit stops here at lap 46. And guys, we've heard reports from pit road and a couple guys on the radio complaining about their cars. It's time to go to work on
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right there. Yeah, Taylor Mouseland's probably going, hey, I just got the lucky dog. I'm happy this thing came out. And Willie Allen was about to get lapped. He's got to work in his car. And Keselowski, he's pretty good, but Harvick's catching him. He's got to make some adjustments.
Wow, we've got action on the track right now, and that is Jason Keller.
Oh.
Wow, someone, I'm guessing someone rolled over the right rear of that car.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
No, it's not. It's the brakes. The brakes. I didn't think it was the tires. The brakes. Hey, it blew the whole right side off, Brian.
A rotor? Can you imagine an exploding rotor doing that?
No. You see the brakes, Ricky. It looks like there's fire coming out of them, and the tire is shredded, the top of it.
Wow.
And we talked earlier about what happens when the tire comes off.
Take it to the garage.
We talked about how heavy braking you have down in turn 1, and this is sort of the casualty of it.
Jason Keller was running 20th at the time, and that happened after the caution came out, we believe. So here they come to pit road now. Brad Keselowski, the leader, bringing Trevor Bayne, Kevin Harvick, and the entire running order with him for this first round of pit stops. Again, caution for debris. And let's go over the wall and listen.
Not too good a right side. We'll try it over here. There you go.
And Colin Brown wants to be tightened up. They're going to make a track bar adjustment. They're also going to make an air pressure adjustment to the 16. 4 tires and away.
Smooth stop for Kevin Harvick in that 33 car. A little bit tight, scuffed tires, and air pressure. Doc.
And a track bar and air pressure adjustment for the 22 car of Keselowski. Air pressure out of the right rear for the 99 to try to tighten up Trevor Bayne. And what a pit stop for Michael Waltrip Racing's crew and Trevor Bayne.
You're right, Doc. That is a huge victory early on in this race for the 00 to get their track position back, get their lead back with that fast pit stop. Now here's your Aaron's lucky dog, Taylor Malsom. We had seen the leader just go by him, and he maintained himself as the first car one lap down. So he will receive the lucky dog free pass. Well, the first round of pit stops is done. Your new leader is Trevor Bayne. Pit crew's working hard here at Gateway. They have gone through their first round of pit stops, checking the tire wear on those tires. During the pit stops, of course, Rusty, they made a lot of chassis adjustments. You were always a big fan of that.
I always do. I mean, I was always moving the track bar around, the wedge, a lot of different settings I could possibly do. Probably my number one biggest thing I love doing, though, was with the tires. I always loved working the air pressure on the tires to get the maximum grip, and that was something that always worked for me.
Let's hear how that can change the chassis from Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage.
Air pressure changes that we make on the cars are very important, down to 1/100th of a pound. Because when you look at this tire right here, anytime you increase or decrease the air pressure, you increase the spring rate of the tire. By adjusting the air pressure 1 pound in the tire, I can adjust the spring rate 60 pounds. Some guys call in wanting 1/4 of a pound, 1/2 a pound. Me, I'm always big on, the 1 pound increments, but still yet, if they can feel the difference, more power to them.
So, Ricky, he was on the left front there. If a car was loose like Trevor Bayne's, what would I want to do with air pressure there on the left?
You could take a little air out of the left front. You could also put a little air in the right front. The great thing about air pressure changes is they're along for the ride, right? You got to change tires, so it doesn't slow the stop down, having to make an extra adjustment.
A lot of people talk about the spring rate. You can talk about the tire being stiffer or softer. Folks, it does the same thing. You can make some big adjustments with air pressure.
Still cleaning up here at Gateway. We'll be back soon for the green flag to come out here again. At this point, 49 laps complete. We've just gone green again at Gateway. Trevor Bayne, the race leader, has chosen the inside line. Brad Keselowski to his outside, and that is a side-by-side battle coming through two.
If Brad can maintain that outside, squeeze him down, he'll have an RPM gain advantage down the backstretch.
Just like that?
Just like that. And he needs to do it, obviously, one more time. But that's part of the trick here, isn't it, Rusty? To keep the inside car bogged down.
Yeah, but you don't want to bog them down too much, Ricky, because if you get too tight to them, it'll cause them to get loose.
That's right.
And slide up into it, and you spin out. And this is pretty smart what Bayne did. Give him a little room right there.
Whatever the science was there, Brad make it work to perfection. 3 wide now going into turn 1. This is going to be dicey. Scott on the inside nearly clips Wallace in the middle. Menard on the outside. He gets back too wide.
Okay, don't make a habit of that.
And boy, these double file restarts are tough at this racetrack and anywhere because you got to get your air pressures up, you got to get away and kind of get settled in right now.
Yeah.
Now, after being the restart leader, Bayne is under attack from Kevin Harvick for second place, and Carl Edwards sticking his nose in there.
And when
I
was racing, this right here, after your first stop, new set of tires, you've had a chance to make one adjustment. This is when you know who your contenders are, and we're going to see in the next 10 laps who the best cars are.
Wow, looking at the noses of those cars slamming down as they get down into turn number 1. Brewer told us about brakes in the countdown show. They're certainly using them down there, and they'll use them again right now. On board with Harvick, battling Bayne. Bayne holding down second. Harvick just takes it away.
Bayne is being very, very smart and very calculated about how he's going about this race.
Well, and interesting to see now, Reed Sorensen, who had been steadily moving forward, now shown in the 6th position, taking over that from Menard, down on the inside. And looking good, Sorensen again. Menard has sort of stayed on that middle to outside, guys, and I don't know if it's hurting him, but he's lost a couple of positions.
I tell you what, guys, on these restarts, Kelly Byers looks like he got sideways, Ricky, got up in the wall. The right side's all damaged on his number 27 car.
Yeah, he was not one of the wave-around cars, just ducking down now. Those, by the way, were Brad Baker and Alex Kennedy on this last caution period, so they'll be shorter on their fuel than others. They're not allowed to pit if you're a wave-around car. De Benedetto going 2 wide on gone into 1.
Dave, just to follow up on what you said a little while ago about the different grooves out there, when these guys have got really low air pressures in their car, sometimes if you've been running the bottom lane, it won't work. You got to get up top until these pressures build up. So just because you've been running a certain place most time, you got to adjust to what this car is doing and what the air pressure settings are doing. And I will promise you it's going to change a lot as this race goes on.
Rusty, along with that, we hadn't talked much about the track itself and how bumpy it is, but with the low air pressure, chance to bottom out, car is really a handful because of the bouncing, and we saw that from the rear cam on one of those cars.
Yeah, real good point. Real rough right there, getting into turn 1 on the bottom of the racetrack, and also getting into turn 3. And, you know, Ricky, you were talking on our conference call this weekend about this particular track's got some real sweet spots for grip, and if you miss them, you're way off.
Yeah, particularly turn 1. I have found that if you hit turn 1 on the apron on entry, it's the only real secure way through the set of turns, and it helps rotate the car. So I think it's the driver's responsibility. That's Reed Sorensen.
That's Reed Sorensen's radio. Shannon?
Well, guys, on that last pit stop, they did have a problem with the lug, but as you just heard on the radio, Reed Sorensen saying that he thinks he may have a loose wheel. What a blow if that is the fact for this car. They had huge hopes coming into this race. We'll just have him stay on the track, and is probably just going to feel it out.
Well, two-time winner Sorensen, we mentioned it earlier last week as we see Truex now battling with the 15 car of Michael Annett. That is for 14th. They had a problem last week, and they got that car home, went through it, and didn't find anything really wrong with it. So we don't know if they've got something mysterious or something really obvious wrong with the 32 this week.
Dave, it's a trend, and I experienced it all through my career, and Rusty, you can support me on this, that if you're going to have a vibration, typically you have it after the first stop, because what you do is you come in, having started the race with new rotors, you come in and you sit on the brakes for about 15 seconds with really hot pads. You go back out, and it creates a high spot on the rotor. A little bit of a vibration.
Yeah, absolutely, especially under braking. That happens a lot. But, you know, he's just going to have to ride this thing, and now Sorensen is, and see if it starts wobbling more and starts vibrating more.
If you're unfamiliar with the Truex family, Martin, Dad, raced in the Busch Norris Series for a lot of years. His son, Martin, has raced and won championships in Nationwide. And this is Ryan, 12 years younger than Martin, making his first start in the Nationwide Series, doing a great job right now. That 00 car running in the 14th position.
Take a look at Michael Annett. He had a problem earlier. Let's see how he works this thing out. He gets really loose. Oh, up into the wall. And guys, this is the second time. Let's take another shot at this one. Different angle. An 18 car just loses it, gets up in the wall. And now, guys, the problem we got right here is that this is the second time this happened. Mike, you know, that car's not going to take much more of that.
No, I wouldn't think it would. And, you know, I spoke with Michael after he hit the wall in practice this afternoon. He said it reminded him of Texas a little bit. He said, you think you've got a lot of room there, and then it just disappears, and the wall sucks you into it. That's kind of like what it looked like right there to me as well. But he's having trouble with that same corner. I think that was the same corner that he hit in practice.
He described that perfectly. As a driver, you try to pick the gas up a little earlier every time coming through the middle of 1 and 2. The penalty for that is if you pick it up too soon, you create more lateral force. The car drifts, and you don't know it until you get to the very exit of the turn. Sometimes it's too late.
You kind of driving along and thinking, I think it's going to fix itself. There must be a loose lug nut here because he's finally stopped.
They're not going to take a chance, are they?
No, well, no. And again, last week they just had something very mysterious. It wasn't something that they could diagnose during the race. Got the car home and didn't find it. I mean, they're hoping, even though this is bad luck for them, that it's something that is a lot simpler.
Well, you're taught as a young driver, if the vibration doesn't go away, then prepare to pit. If it gets worse, don't think twice about it. Come down pit road.
Yeah, because you don't want to end up in the hospital, because when you crash these cars, it hurts. The interesting thing I'm looking at right now, if he's going to go 1 lap down or 2 laps down at this shorter style racetrack.
Leaders coming off of turn 4. Reed will have to take the access road, leaving pit road. There's no speed limit for him there, but he'll have to tiptoe around there to make sure he doesn't spin out. And as he does that, the leaders will come back through, and we'll see where they actually catch up with Reed. Reed's already well gone, so he only loses 1 lap. Hopefully he can, get the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass at some point as the crew checks things over.
That's a sick feeling as a team. You know, you got a great driver out there. He's won here twice, Ricky, and you let him down and let the lug nuts loose. But he's strong enough. and we're early enough in the race, he can get the lucky dog and get back.
If, in fact, they do have loose lug nuts. But the flip side of that, Rusty, and we've both been there, is if they report back, hey, Reed, tires were fine. And that's happened. It happens to every driver at some point in their career where, sort of a phantom vibration, and the tire wasn't flat or the lugs weren't loose.
That's a good point. As a driver, you don't want to hear that, do you?
No, you don't. That's an awful feeling.
All right, let's reset things at the front. Brad Keselowski was not the restart leader, but he was second and quickly took over the lead. And Harvick, guys, has begun closing in after he, too, disposed of Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, but like Pac-Man back there, Harvick is. Just catch him a little bit every single lap. Notice something, Ricky? It's getting darker out, cooling down a little bit.
Yeah.
Things are changing.
Yeah, exactly, Rusty. I was looking over at the lap times, and we're going to see those probably improve. These guys are going to be happier with their cars, a little more aggressive with their cars, and we'll see how that works out.
Fifth place, Colin Brown, under attack from Paul Menard. Remember, Paul got shuffled to the high side just a little bit at the restart, lost a couple of positions. He's now working his way back. Shannon, you've got more on Reed Sorensen?
Yeah, guys, it was a left rear that they had the lug nut problem on pit road, but it was actually the right front that they had the lug problem on the racetrack. You guys can see these lugs right here are worn out. This is the one that was giving Reed Sorensen a problem.
Oh, thanks, Shannon. That's great visual now. Problem on the pit stop and problem then, obviously, once he got back on the track. And, guys, the 38 of Jason Leffler had a bad day today. Qualified poorly, lost it a little bit in qualifying, 24th. And now I guess he's got ignition box problems as well.
I heard him just come by and made a lot of noise as he come by our booth. And I looked up, he was really losing a lot of speed. He's had a tough time this week getting the car handling. And, Ricky, I would think that they're really hoping maybe a spark plug wire fell off this thing, something that can fix during a pit stop, because this isn't an ignition, because I'm hearing too much noise out of the motor.
Well, Mike Massaro is covering the 38 tonight. Mike, what are you hearing?
Well, what I'm hearing over the radio, guys, is that the alternator's not charging and that they are contemplating changing the battery at some point. They have it out. They're ready to do it, but right now they're playing it by ear, trying to ride this thing out, hoping that maybe it'll get better. The alternator problem, something that has plagued this team over the last month. If you remember back at Elkhart Lake, the alternator came unplugged, so it could be a re-emerging problem.
He might not have two batteries in this car, and if he does, he's on the main battery. And I got to tell you, these batteries in these cars...
Well, they're hoping for a caution right now, and if they would get that, they would have that time on pit road to make those repairs you guys talked about, perhaps.
Pretty big change, obviously a time-consuming change.
All right, we'll step away for right now, see what happens with Jason. Your leader, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, hot on his tail. Back at the Missouri-Illinois Dodge Dealers 250. And if you're not seeing everything you need right now, actually pull your laptop up and go to NASCAR.com for all the latest NASCAR information. Now, Brad Keselowski has a comfortable lead right now over Kevin Harvick, putting a lap on Eric McClure in the 24 right there. One thing that they got to be aware of is that there is debris on the racetrack, and you fans might wonder where that comes from every once in a while. Take a look at the onboard camera of Kenny Wallace driving the 28 car. Look on the right-hand side there. There's a circle right over that bolt. It's on. It's debris.
Okay. Next time we see that, it will be in somebody's tire.
I mean, it can come from almost anywhere. That's just a little thing, but that can put a tire down.
And, people talk about where does debris come from? I mean, these cars, folks, if you knew how much body filler and aluminum and metal it takes to put these cars together, and then when you have body contact, it knocks it loose and it falls on the racetrack, and you drive over it and it causes flat tires. You would think after this much time we could figure out how to make this stuff better. Well, they have made it a lot better, but it still happens.
Carl's Aflac Fusion right now not showing any signs of debris, running in third place, but boy, oh boy, he's got some driving to do there, Ricky.
Might have been a little debris right there.
He avoided it, right? That was a great save, again, avoiding debris. Carl is third. You saw your leaders go by. Again, McClure is a lap car at this point. Qualified into the field today, did Eric. Very happy to do that. He did not have a guaranteed spot. Had a great qualifying run.
Dave, I've been watching Carl Edwards' lap times, and he is getting faster as this night goes on. We talked earlier about comparing this racetrack to Phoenix, Arizona. He goes out to Phoenix and just dominates out there. So I expect more of the same out of Carl as this race goes on. I think he's going to get faster.
Colin Brown running 7th right now. Brian Scott in the 11 running just behind him. and a couple of young guys that we were very impressed with all day today, guys.
Yeah, Colin Brown, some of the problems that have plagued him this year are finishing races and making mental mistakes. You're not seeing that tonight. He's doing everything perfect.
Now, Justin Allgaier running right behind them. Started in the 16th position, but Mike, it hasn't been a great night so far for the 12.
No, and there's a reason to believe it might be getting worse. He's very concerned about his brakes. Right before that last round of pit stops, he radioed in saying, we need to open up the ducting because our brakes are getting a little bit soft. Well, they came in, they made that pit stop, but they weren't able to pull the tape. They weren't able to get it done. Allgaier has subsequently radioed in saying it's getting worse. And Rusty and Ricky, what's it like at this place when you know your brakes might be going away?
Well, what happens, Mike, is you become occupied with it, right? And you're thinking about your brakes when you should be thinking about your turn-in points and your braking points or your accelerating points. It compounds the problem that you can't slow the car as much as you'd like, Rusty, so you change the way you're doing things, and one thing leads to another, but your times do drop.
Really getting tight off the two.
So he's got a tight front end. We talked about Tim Brewer did our special before the show started about if you get the brakes hot, the front tire pressure builds up. That's what's happening to Justin Allgaier now. A lot of air pressure in the front. The car's starting to lose the front end. And let's talk about compromise a little bit. The smaller you keep the openings in the front, the more downforce you get, but the brakes get hotter. And I don't think he's got enough cooling right now to keep these brakes cool.
So that's something they can correct on a pit stop, but is the damage done?
Yes, it could be, because it happens in Martinsville when we cook the brakes, and you just don't have the stopping power.
Allgaier soldiering on right now. Again, Justin started this race tonight for us, but runs in the 9th position with this bad braking situation. Let's switch back up front and see if anything's changed. Really not. I mean, Keselowski continues to lead. Harvick has not been able to close that gap, guys, and Keselowski will continue to lead here tonight. He's led most of the way. Kevin Harvick trying to mount a charge. Carl in 3rd. Brad Keselowski continues to lead after 84 of 200 laps. We will tell you that Harvick has not been able to make up any ground, and unfortunately Jason Leffler has made a trip to pit road. And part of the reason for that is NASCAR tells the teams that you have to maintain a minimum speed on the track if you're having issues. And that was a 38.53. We were told this morning Jason was running in the 38.70s, and they knew that continuing problem, if he didn't come in soon and fix it, he was going to go below minimum speed.
Oh, yeah, he just had to come and get the thing fixed. And I'm not a quitter. I don't give up on nothing. But right now, Jason Leffler's 4 laps down and still sitting on pit road. I'm afraid he's got a tough day ahead of him.
Rusty, our over-the-wall reporter Todd Foster was down there. Let's listen.
All right, guys, we're having to come in here and do a little battery change. We got no voltage. So we're going to do left side tires and put a battery in this thing, try to get him going back again.
There's a door back there they have to get into, right, Rusty? And
a lot of work,
yeah. Swap that back out.
Exactly. They got to unbolt all that, slide the battery out. They got quick disconnect, electrical hookups. Once they get that battery out, they'll plug it back in.
And it's hot, and you're in a hurry, and you got gloves on. I mean, it's not easy.
Oh, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And it's a real mess when you got to do this. This is not easy.
Do these guys practice this?
If they don't, they need to, because they've been failing a lot of batteries lately. I'll tell you that. A lot of guys are losing these batteries. These things are so small, the batteries are, that they almost completely rely on the alternator to keep the car going. In my mind, all these teams need to put bigger batteries in these cars. So if they had a problem, it'd go longer.
We appreciate Todd Foster carrying our cameras tonight and giving us that great look at a battery change on Jason Leffler's car. The idea being now that everything will fire up right and he'll be able to get back out at top speed, and he gets this one chance to make that repair, or NASCAR will ask him to park it for the night.
He's back on the track right now, Leffler is, but he's 5 laps down. You see Kevin Harvick now. He's run back Keselowski just a little bit. But, you know, I know the fans get tired of talking about it. But, Ricky, this clean air thing, man, the closer you get, you start losing that downforce. You can't pass the guy. That's what's happening to Harvick.
He's at that point, isn't he, Rusty, where a perfectly balanced car will allow you to catch the leader, like he did, to a certain point, and then it stalls. What's it feel like? Well, again, a perfectly balanced car means you got the same grip in the front as the rear. When you get to this point, you lose the grip in the front, and you start to slide up the track. And if we watch Kevin Harvick, he does lose a little more in 1 and 2, runs a little higher line.
Brad Keselowski dialed up his crew. He wanted some information on how Harvick was or was not running him down.
Check and see what he was doing into 3. Not settling by weak spot. 3 to the center. You pull him all the way down the back, off the corner. I mean, it's right in that little area where the billboard's at. He just gets in deeper than you. But then from around the corner and off, you pull everything back.
So through and off the corner, that appears to be his strong point. And I think that points out what you're talking about with that dirty air.
And he referred to driving in deeper. That's a typical tendency of a driver trying to make up for something he's losing. You just carry a little extra speed in the corner, which compounds the problem.
Yeah, if I'm a little slow, I'll just bomb it down in the corner trying to make it up. A lot of times it doesn't work out. Here's a battle for 9th right now. Justin Allgaier and
Matt DiBenedetto.
I'm glad. Thank you.
I thought I'd do that for you.
Appreciate that.
Matt's a good little shoe, and looking for his opportunity this year, and just trying to do what his veteran teammates have done. Shannon.
All about seat time for Matty D. I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that nickname for him and try instead of trying his last name. He says actually when he goes to the race shop to get seated for to get fitted for the seat, he'll sit inside the race car just to get comfortable, just to look around and just get comfortable with his surroundings. He is used to cars, obviously. He's been racing for a while, but not the Nationwide car. So it's a big deal for him just to get the comfort on the track and inside the car. And it's been a good little race for Matty D here tonight.
Whoa, a little contact back there. Thanks, Shannon. DiBenedetto taking over the 9th position. That puts Allgaier back to 10th. And in 11th is that 62 of Brendan Gaughan, the 32 of Reed Sorensen. He is still a lap down, but he is in the Lucky Dog free pass position. So if the caution would come out, he'd be right there ready to get his lap back. And guys, it's that 00 car again, the 18-year-old Truex.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. And one thing I see from Ryan is that he's spending most of his time alone. He's not really racing anyone. He's got his sights set on the finish.
And you know what he's trying to do? He's trying to best his brother. Brothers one-up each other ever, Rusty?
They try to. They want to have the front seat when it comes to Thanksgiving. They want to do the most talking.
Well, Martin, in his first start in the Nationwide Series, that was at Dover in September of 2001, finished 38 and crashed out. Now, it's early, but right now he's got the upper hand on his brother. Mike?
Well, you talk about his brother. You ask him, does he feel the pressure? And he's very honest. He says, absolutely, I feel the pressure, Dave. He knows what his brother's accomplished in this series and in NASCAR in general. But he said he got some great advice from Martin this week. Martin told him, guess what? Just finish the race. And that seems like that's the approach tonight. Not necessarily being aggressive or conservative, but not being overly aggressive to the point where he's endangering that race car either.
And how hard is that when you're 18 and you're in a NASCAR race?
Listen, it's the hardest thing in the world to teach a young driver. They want to go. They want it all right now. It's something you have to acquire at a place like Darlington. What do? We race the track all night long. Even as veterans, he's doing it. He's doing it tonight perfect. He's focused on racing the track and not racing the competitors.
I don't know about that. You raced Kurt Busch pretty hard that last lap at Darlington when you said that. But I saw you guys wrecking and sliding. You won the thing. You didn't race no track then.
But if there were another lap, the third place guy would have won.
Okay.
Here's our third place guy tonight, Carl Edwards. And in relation to our leader right now, he's got a little bit of ground to make up. Carl does. Again, he's trying to chase down the 22 of Keselowski for the championship. But he's got to make up some ground on the track first. Here's Carl's position and find out where Brad is. Way up there. That's actually not too far. We'll watch Carl's progress. He'll have to get through Harvick before he can get to our leader, Brad Keselowski. Back at the Illinois-Missouri Dodge Dealers 250. Brad Keselowski is still our leader, being chased by Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. And Josh Wise has been one of the biggest movers, up 18 spots in the 7 car, up to the 16th position. The 7 car for Junior Motorsports. Colin Braun still your highest running rookie. You know, guys, we've had somebody close to home here, our in-race reporter, Brad Coleman, who's had some issues. We've had guys with ignition problems already tonight. Doc, something electrical with the 18?
Well, Brad had run all the way back up into the top 10, Dave, and the car seemed to be running really, really well until he said it started to sputter. Listen in, this is what he had to say.
Something's wrong with the motor. It just sputtered big time. It sounds like I hit the chip. It's gone, man. Something's wrong. Both boxes hit the chip. It's 7, but it's not the chip. Voltmeter's fine. Oh, voltmeter's gone. Okay, switch to battery 2. Seems better.
Okay, turn all your fans off. And make sure you shut your AC unit off. That thing might be shorting out here on you.
Well, that was the issue, and he started fading back in the field all the way to 15th position. They went to the backup ignition, didn't do a lot. You heard a moment ago they were trying to go to a different battery, and Brad was trying to turn the clicks to get it to the backup battery. When he finally got enough clicks turned over to switch batteries, the power came back, and now Brad Coleman has driven the car back under full power to 12th position.
So if there's a problem with the alternator, it's a matter of time, right? And if it's going to show up, you're diagnosing this problem, it's going to show up on top RPM, the very highest RPM. That's where it will start to fail and get progressively worse. So it'll start to skip getting in the corner like a rev limiter would act, and then it'll work its way all the way back to the beginning of the corner or the beginning of the exit.
Brad Coleman runs in 12th position right now. Let's get you caught up to speed on our top 10. Dr. Punch?
And Brad Keselowski, our leader here, also the points leader for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. He's had a very good race car. The car has been a little bit free in 3 and 4, but been good down in 1 and 2, but now even that is going away. So the car will just not hold the bottom of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2. They're planning their next pit stop in about 15 laps. Shannon.
Doc, the first half of this race has been very strong for Kevin Harvick in that number 33 car. He says the car started off very similar to how his truck raced earlier today, and we all know the end of that story. Kevin Harvick won. Right now, he is saying on the radio that the car is starting to get tight, and he says he cannot hold it straight coming out of 3 and 4. So expect some changes for that 33 when they come down pit road next time. Now, Carl Edwards in the 60 car hunting him down on the racetrack says the key to this race is patience. And if anyone knows how to get it done here, it's Carl Edwards. He has 2 wins at this racetrack. Crew chief Drew Lickensturfer says he just adapts to this place. He knows how to race it. Expects some changes for Carl Edwards as well, as he says the handling is going away a little bit. Doc?
Back in 4th position, our pole sitter, the 19-year-old Trevor Bayne. He made that first pit stop. They made an air pressure adjustment in the right rear, and now Trevor says the car is much worse now than it was in the first run. He said the car is tight, and then suddenly in the middle of the corner, it is snappy loose, he says. They're hoping to be able to pit and adjust it on lap 115. Behind him, the 98 car, Paul Menard. Now, Menard's not raced here since 2006, but in 2005, he ran very, very well and got a top 5 finish. Paul says the car now getting very loose and starting to really chatter that right rear tire. Shannon.
Doc, Stephen Wallace started this race 9th. He's currently running 6th. He also ran in the truck race earlier today. He had a 17th place finish in that race, so it's been a very long day for Stephen Wallace. He says right now the 66 car is sliding the nose, and they will make some chassis adjustments on the next pit stop. Mike?
Shannon, as the night has progressed, Colin Brown has asked his team to help him put a little bit more wheel into it. Instead, though, the car has gotten tighter and tighter as the race has progressed, so much to the point he radioed in recently saying, I can barely touch the wheel in the corner. This is not handling to his liking whatsoever. Doc?
Ryan Scott back in 8th position. He's coming off his career best finish a week ago at Chicagoland of 3rd. He says a racetrack like this doesn't bother him too much because he grew up driving a dirt sprint car. He understands that cars can slip and slide, and he can handle it. They made an air pressure adjustment on the first pit stop. He said the car's been pretty neutral now, pretty happy with the car. They'd like to get it snugged up a little bit getting off the corner. Shannon.
Matty D started this race 18th, currently running in the top 10. He said the car is also loose. They will make some chassis adjustments on the next pit stop. Matt will be in this car for the next 3 weeks. He says consistency is key, and his goal is to get into the top 10.
Ryan Truex on pit road. That car getting a little bit tight as the race has gone on. They're going to try to free it up as he heads down to pit road to Mike Ricci and his crew's attention with the 00. Ryan Truex trying to, as we said earlier in the show, just finish this race. That's the only goal. They have a very conservative goal. They swing around now to the right side of that car. They'll change tires there, looking for a 4-tire change on the 00. Also a wedge adjustment, trying to free him up a little bit. That car a little bit tight. Truex had radioed in not too long ago saying he's sliding the nose, trying to get that back a little bit and get the handling back to the way he likes it. He rolls it away now after a clean 4-tire stop.
And guys, one of the things you wouldn't do for a young rookie is run him out of gas out there and put him behind, right?
No, you don't want to do that, that's for sure. But where our pit window's shown, these guys should be able to go 70 to 75 laps. He hit pit road road 63 laps after he last pitted. So, I mean, that's a little early, guys.
Brad Keselowski continuing to lead here at Gateway. His pit stop will be coming up in just a little bit. He leads Edwards and Harvick. Pit stops happening here at Gateway. Kevin Harvick gives up the 3rd position. He's on pit road now, finishing up his 4-tire stop. And his crew gets him out and gone. Paul Menard has been to pit road. Michael Annett has already been on and off of pit road. Doc, you're with Trevor Bayne.
And Trevor Bayne coming in. Air pressure adjustment had a little bit of an issue on the left rear. The left rear tire changer actually slipped and fell and got some gas or something splashed in his eye. He could not see. That cost him a couple extra seconds here on this green flag stop.
Steve Arpin is on pit road in the 88 car. First time he's driven the 88. Has driven several times for the 7 car for Junior Motorsports. They'll make a 4-tire change as well for Arpin. See those rookie stripes on the back there. Shelby Howard is in the 70. You see Brad Keselowski still leading and still staying on the track. Carl Edwards now right on his back bumper. There goes Shelby Howard.
Go.
There's Brad Coleman on pit road, our in-race reporter. Looks like a 4-tire change for him as well. Getting full of Sunoco fuel in that 18 car, and they will send him back off of pit road. And, you know, another 70 laps from now, that takes us down toward the end of the race, Rusty, but they're not going to be able to make it from here.
No, I don't think they will either. I mean, this is a little bit early to pit, I thought. We thought these guys could go at least 120, but now we see a lot of them hit pit road. Shannon?
It is all about seat time for Matty D on pit road right now. They are going to make a chassis adjustment. You see that wrench in the back window. It is also going to be a 4-tire change for Matt D. Benedetto in that number 20 car, guys, and they'll get him back out onto the racetrack. Mike?
And Brendan Gaughan making his stop as well. Free in, making them tight center and exit. They're going to make a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment as well. 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel on the 62.
Gaughan gets gone. Stephen Wallace is in on pit road. Shannon, he's by you.
Yeah, what a great run for Stephen Wallace, guys. He says the track is starting to tighten up a little bit for him, so they are going to take 4 tires, and you see that adjustment in the back window already taking place on the 66. But a great run for all of the RWI cars, the 62 and the 66 out here today.
Guys, I'm looking at some great fuel mileage there on the right-hand side of the screen. Mike Massaro with the 16 car.
And remember, Dave, we said earlier that Colin Brown was complaining he couldn't even turn the wheel. The car was so tight. Well, they're going to try to free him up here. A 4-tire change, and then also make a chassis adjustment on the 16 car. Big turn on the track bar as they'll try to free him up now as they swing out to the left side of that race car, trying to complete their stop. Sunoco race fuel, 2 cans of it inside the 16 car. They're down and away.
Carl Edwards says, I need to lead a lap before this round of pit stops here. He charges down on the inside of the 22 of Keselowski. Can he hold it, Rusty?
We talked about him being a second-half driver, and he's going to start eating in these points with Keselowski. He's done it time and time again. This car is getting faster as the night goes on, guys.
And this front stretch crowd is up on their feet for the local area boy, Carl from Missouri. And I think they're going to call it pit road now. Let's go to Mike.
And Ricky Stenhouse in for his stop as well. Another car that's a little bit tight. They're going to go 1 round down in the right rear on the wedge. 4-tire change on the 6 car and Sunoco race fuel. Trying to make that car just a little bit better for Ricky Stenhouse. Remember, this is a backup car. Still trying to dial it in, but otherwise pretty good.
And Brad Keselowski has gone too fast on the access road. He spins off of it, and he recovers. Wow, Rusty, that was close.
That was close. He did a good job holding on to it. The caution flag didn't come out, and that's good because that would have messed up everything in this sequence. And that's what happens if you get too hot on that access road.
And the surprise there, that's something we might expect from a Ryan Truex, having no experience, or one of the other younger drivers. Not from Brad Keselowski.
Shannon on the 60.
Guys, Carl Edwards said he needs to sit back and wait for Brad Keselowski to make mistakes like that. Right now, the 60 car on pit road, it's going to be 4 tires and a wedge adjustment. Carl Edwards says the car just needs a little bit more front grip. Doc?
After that near miss, Brad K touching his brakes, checking them 4 tires. They made a wedge adjustment, an air pressure adjustment. He said he was free in 3 and 4, but tight getting up off turn 2. Couldn't get back in the throttle, and boy, did he ever dodge a bullet a moment ago. Mike.
And Justin Allgaier on pit road now as well, looking for 4 tires and fuel. Also, they'll make a right rear wedge adjustment to that race car. Going going to try to loosen him up just a little bit. As we mentioned earlier in the show, very tight. Also, they had a bit of a brake problem. They were able to get the tape this time on the ducting, Shannon.
Guys, right now, Reed Sorensen pulling into the pit box. What a day it's been for Reed Sorensen. He had that loose lug nut. Now they are working on the right side of that 32 car, and they're going to go over to the left side. It's 4 tires for Reed Sorensen.
Well, through that round of pit stops, Kevin Harvick pitted a little bit sooner, and as I like to say, ran faster laps quicker with those new tires, and Carl stayed out longer. He's got the lead now. All right, so here's how it pans out. There is your leader, Kevin Harvick. There's second place, Carl Edwards. Again, stayed out longer on those old tires, but he had a clean entry and a clean exit of pit road. Brad Keselowski, not so lucky, and if you pan back just a little bit more to find him, he falls back to third, and that's what a mistake will do for you. Let's watch what happened, guys. Look at Carl's decision. Carl made his decision. Brad makes it late.
Brad carried more speed into this, just trying to make up a little extra ground, and you can't do it on this access road. It's too narrow. It feels off camber, meaning reverse banking, and he paid the price for it.
Here's another look at it. Here's Keselowski, too fast and out in the grass. And a great save as he brings it around. Never even goes all the way around.
Guys, I tell you, this is 2 weeks in a row for Brad Keselowski. He had this problem in Chicago and missed his pits. That's what run him out of gas.
I think it's an example of trying to do too much, Rusty. Just trying to do too much. He did, instead of following Carl into the pits, he tried to gain some.
Or did they call him in late? Did they make the decision late? That's what we really don't know, and force the driver's hand to make that move.
Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on that. That'd be wrong to do that. But you got to believe that. He's racing Carl Edwards, and Edwards put a little too much pressure on him. It's not Carl's fault, but Brad felt it.
I agree. I think these guys are too good. They've raced enough together that they wouldn't have called him in on the backstretch or going into turn 3.
Well, it's been a great round of green flag pit stops, except for Keselowski. One team that had a good stop and running in the 6th position right now is Steve Wallace. We go over the wall with his crew. They are fired up, getting Steve on and off of pit road. You're looking at the new leader here at Gateway. Carl Edwards has gotten around Kevin Harvick. Remember, through the round of green flag pit stops, Harvick was the leader, and here's how Carl got it back.
You see, Carl just got his car hooked up really good right now. He gets down right to the bottom. Kevin slips up a little bit. He matched the throttle. And, there's been a lot of speculation that these Ford motors have been down in power a little bit. And these guys came in there and changed the intake manifold this morning and carburetor to give this car some more torque. And it looks like it's really paying off for him. He made that pass up off at turn 2, where the lowest RPM is in this racetrack.
Excellent point,
Be smart
Rusty.
here. Take your time. You'll get them.
Excellent point. The other thing I like about that is it shows that Carl and his car are fast on the short run. Typically, these races are won on the short runs. So that may be significant.
We'll watch for that later in the race. Let's take a look at what's happened so far today. This is our 5-hour energy rapid recap. It started out with Colin Brown. He was on the outside of the front row. Trevor Bayne led him to the green, his second NASCAR Nationwide Series pole, but it wasn't long before Colin lost second, and that third place car, that old 22, the points leader, Brad Keselowski, got by Trevor Bayne and pretty much dominated the first half of this race. In fact, led at halfway, which is a pretty good omen, as you see him now on the right side of your screen as well, getting by Harvick for second. There was some trouble out there. Justin Allgaier had a little scoot with the wall there. Down into turn 1, Brad Coleman got up in the marbles, and as Ricky Craven would say, drove it through the snow and back to safety. And then off of turn 2, Brendan Gaughan had to check up because he got the back end swung out there just a little too much. Now, Brad Kay, even though he gets back around Harvick for second, he had a little trouble coming to pit road. Carl has made the decision, last-minute decision for Brad, gets too hot going on the access road, skirts out through the grass, and doesn't spin the car around, actually hangs onto it. And the crew makes his pit stop and sends him back out, and really, no harm, no foul with that guy.
I'm going to be watching here is that errors cause other errors. In other words, this error, the tendency is for the driver to make this up as quickly as possible. He wants to redeem himself. So Rusty, he's got to be careful. He's got plenty of time. He doesn't need to burn through the field and get the lead back.
Well, that's well said, Ricky, because I'm watching his lap times. He's about 0.3 of a second faster than anybody. He is mad at himself that he's made this mistake, and he's driving his brains out right now, trying to get some redemption for his team and for himself. And he's just got to pull the reins back a little bit. Don't drive too hard and tear this thing up. He's got a good car.
And now that Carl Edwards has gotten the lead, he's trying to keep Brad and everybody else behind him. Shannon?
Well, you guys talked about the things that Carl Edwards has on the racetrack right now, a good engine, a fast car. Something else is patience. He said that this racetrack, you have got to have patience because you can start the race in the day, the car can just be so-so, and then as the race goes on, the car will really come to you. And that is what we've seen with this 60 car. Wasn't a winning car at the beginning of this race, but it is coming on strong right now.
Well, and guys, they've had 2 pit stops to work on that. Just a reminder, if you folks haven't been here, for the whole race, we had 1 caution only for debris. That was 1 pit stop. And then these green flag stops, they've only had 2 chances to work on the race cars.
Man, this thing is flying by. This race is really going fast. These guys are running good. No mistakes, hardly.
Brad Keselowski now closing, it appears, on Carl Edwards.
He's catching him just a little bit every single lap. And the closer he gets to him, the less he catches him, because that doggone downforce, that air kicks into effect. And I'm watching his lap times. He was on 0.3 of a second faster. Now he's down to even. He's not catching him at all right now.
Carl Edwards going into the turn 3 wide. That helped close the gap. Not the preferred way to do business, but...
Well, now the teammate for Carl Edwards, the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse, he's going to give him plenty of room. Might race him a little bit down into turn 1.
Clear him off of 2. And so here he's in that position that Rusty was describing, where it becomes very difficult. The work begins. What are your options as a driver? Well, to get clean air, you need to take a different line. This track doesn't offer a lot of options. Let's see if Brad does choose a little different entry or exit.
All right, Jason Leffler on pit road. Let's go over the wall with Todd Foster.
Got a little fire in there on the rotor. A good race. There you go. 4 tires of fuel, boys.
He's had to work hard today. Changed a battery, changed 4 tires a couple of times, and now he's got fire to deal with, too. Thanks, Todd, for that great look.
I want to talk about Brad Keselowski just a little bit. Jerry Punch was telling us that they made some adjustments on the brake balance front to rear, and he could have had a little bit too much rear brake balance in that car. And when he sailed that baby down pit road, that rear wheel's locked up and he lost it. That's a good point that Jerry made, that something does happen.
60 laps to go now in the race. This battle for 10th has been won by Brad Coleman. Puts Ryan Truex back. They battle around the lap car of Eric McClure. Coleman has recovered. Remember, he thought he had an electrical problem earlier, switched his ignition boxes back and forth, and is now up to full song, and doesn't appear to have reported on that problem ever since.
We're also going to see from these guys if there's a little bit of urgency, because the leader is coming. Will it change their game plan? Will it change their methodology about how they've been going about this race? Because they obviously don't want to go down a lap.
Well, one thing I think about is what Brad Coleman's had to do. He's had to turn those fans off to save that power with the battery. Can he afford to run hard to overheat those brakes? He might not be able to save that car as much as he wants to. Only way he can do it is just slow down a little bit.
Speaking of running hard, the 22 car, he's poking that nose in there now, closing quickly on the 60 and trying to make a bid for the lead. Doc?
And they've told him to go up and get the 60. Said, go ahead and go get him. We got 1 set of sticker tires left. Brad just radioed back and said, yeah, but the brakes are getting very soft. He said, make sure you got the fans on. Right now, he's having to be real ginger with the brakes, but he's still going to be aggressive and try to get Carl Edwards.
Rusty, you saw something from Carl Edwards there as he wiggles in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, you saw Brad get right up on his back coming off of turn 4, and he stuck his hand out to win and said, come on, buddy, go ahead and pass me. You're faster than I am, and that's a smart driver when he can do something like that. They don't want to burn any more brakes up.
I'll get you later when my car's better, right?
That's right.
Carl Edwards falls back to second. Brad... While we were away, our second caution for debris on the track. That ended a 93-lap run of green flag racing. Brad Keselowski is off pit road first. Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick will follow. And there are the position changes on our nationwide insurance race-off pit road. Brad Keselowski, 2 tires. Also, Brendan Gaughan picked up 7 positions. What do you think, Rusty? 2 tires for Brad at this point? You think it's his last time on pit road? And I guess they've looked at their left side wear and determined it's pretty good?
Well, I could be wrong, but I think it's too far to go to only take 2 tires. 57 laps to go. I think we need all the tires we can get. I can understand if we got to run with 30 to go to hit down pit road, put right sides on, but with almost a full fuel run yet to go, and you only take 2. I don't know if I'd have made that decision, but you know what? I've made a lot of wrong decisions too, so I'm probably talking to the wrong guy.
And you always wanted 4, didn't you?
I'm the 4-tire guy. That's right.
All right, let's get some updates from pit road, starting with Doc.
Well, it was Paul Wolf that made the call for 2 tires for Brad Keselowski, and he felt the car was suitable enough. They just had a little bit of a brake concern. Paul seemed very confident in his decision. He held up 2 fingers as soon as the yellow came out for debris. There was never any discussion to go with 4. Now, back behind him down on this end of pit road, the 98 car of Paul Menard. He said the car much better since the rubber was taken out of the right rear. He just needed a little more grip, and they made an adjustment on the air pressure. Went around down on the track bar, 4 tires and fuel for the 98. Shannon.
Well, Doc, Drew Blickenstripper asked Carl Edwards, what do you need for just over 50 laps left in the race? And Carl said, I need to be tightened up a little bit. So they made an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment, 4 tires for the 60. And then Kevin Harvick, who has had a great race today, a great day overall, winning the truck race earlier, says he needs more rear grip in that 33. So they made an air pressure adjustment for Kevin.
Thanks, guys, for those updates. That was the usual flurry of pit road activity on and off of pit road. Rusty, not sure about the 2-tire call on the 22. But, Ricky, you're pretty high on Paul Wolf as a crew chief. You trust him on that one?
Well, yeah, I do. and I can make it a case for him being right just by telling you why I wouldn't have agreed with that stop. But the fact of the matter is that he is an outstanding crew chief. I subscribe to these crew chiefs who are former drivers. The greatest example, of course, is Ray Evernham, because they can understand the dialogue. They understand what the driver's describing. And Paul Wolf has done an outstanding job. We're going to read and watch a lot about him going forward. You know, in the back of my mind, I think you got the best car, keep 4 tires on it. Isn't that sort of how you think?
I would think so, Ricky, but you know, you were the one that told us earlier, which I agree with you. You don't use the left side tires very much, but I still think they do something. And then we'll see what happens. It's hard to predict how, because this car is so good. If you got a good car, sometimes you can only take 2 tires and get away with it.
Well, stay with us after we figure out whether Paul was right or wrong on 2 tires. Here on ESPN2 immediately after our race, qualifying for the Fram Autolite NHRA Nationals. That's 11 Eastern. The finals for the Fram Autolite Nationals tomorrow night at 6 right here on ESPN2. Then don't miss the IZOD IndyCar Series at Toronto. Justin Wilson on the pole. He set a track record. That'll be 12:30 Eastern on ABC. And, of course, next weekend, Nationwide Series will be at O'Reilly Raceway Park. You can watch it on ESPN Saturday at 8 Eastern. And the big one, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Brickyard 400 presented by Golden Corral. That's Sunday, July 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Our Aaron's Lucky Dog on that round of pit stops, that caution flag, was Ricky Stenhouse. He gets the free pass. He was the first driver 1 lap down, and now he is back on the lead lap.
All right, guys, I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm watching these restarts right now. This is about the time of the race where things start to heat up, start bending metal, and I hope it doesn't happen, but these guys are getting jacked up now. It's getting close to the end.
Well, they're coming down. Lap 147 complete this time by out of 200. Brad Keselowski, the leader, has chosen the inside line, and the green is back out at Gateway. Carl Edwards hanging on the outside. That's a pretty good restart for Carl.
It's a great restart, and again, he'll have the advantage coming off of turn 2.
Big time. He just steps on it, and he's gone. Wow, what was that torque thing you guys were talking about with the Ford?
Brendan Gaughan trying the same thing on Kevin Harvick. I don't think it's going to work. Kevin gets to the middle of the corner here. He can clear him off of 4. Rusty, you know what it feels like to have old left side tires on. Doesn't it typically make the car feel a little tighter?
Well, it does. I just don't like old tires at all. I like new tires.
Well, and let's point out again, 4 versus 2. Carl took 4. Brad took 2. Doc?
And I went up and asked Paul Wolf, I said, what was behind the decision to take only 2 tires? He said, we were going to put 2 right side tires on because he has been very free in 3 and 4, and we've got 1 set of stickers left. If there's a late caution flag, we're going to come in and put those 4 on, and then we're going to be good to go. But 2 this time and 4 for what may be a final stop inside of 40 to go. Mike.
Doc, I just had a brief conversation with the car chief on the 62 car, Shane Huffman, asking about the decision to go with 2 tires. He said it was worth the risk. He said earlier today he was in the lounge watching the truck race with crew chief Brad Parrott. They saw Johnny Sauter take 2 with 40 laps to go. Seemed to work out pretty well for him. Sauter ended up 3rd in that race.
Trouble on the racetrack, guys, right now. Looking on the backstretch, Matt DiBenedetto has banged up the back end of that car.
And Ryan Truex took like a defensive maneuver. I mean, he just could have been big, and it still could be big.
3 wide down the front straightaway into 1. I mean, these guys are tight right now.
Green flag is still out. DiBenedetto was running in the 10th position before he tagged the wall.
And this is what restarts create, right?
They get compacted. I mean, this is a tough one here. You see DiBenedetto, he spun a little while ago, didn't spin out totally, but tore the back of that car all up, and we're still green.
And now the 2 teammates together. Brad Coleman and Matt DiBenedetto have gotten together in turn 3.
They have taken each other out accidentally.
Turn 2, Rusty. That's where that happened.
And you sort of felt like that wasn't over. Started over.
Look at the damage.
That hurt bad.
Oh, boy, I guarantee you Joe Gibbs is home with his eyes closed right now. I hate this for an owner where both cars get wiped out in one wreck.
Well,
very unusual.
DiBenedetto had dropped back to the 18th position. Coleman running 19th when this happened. And
last minute right in front of us.
There's Matt climbing out, which is very good news. Someone talked about hurt they might have met in the race car. DiBenedetto appears to be all right as he'll take his helmet off and lean up against the car. Coleman a little slower to exit here.
Deal with the disappointment of being knocked out of the race, and then later the disappointment of doing it with your teammate.
All right, let's try to figure out what happened. Here is Matt, and he loses it off the corner.
He just flat gets loose and wrecks the car, but the caution flag doesn't come out, doesn't need to, keeps on going.
Everyone scrambles. He's nowhere near his teammate at this point. Then Trevor Bayne and Brendan Gaughan. That action heats up. Bang. Bang again, maybe. And that stacks him up. Rusty, that almost happened. You were talking about stacking up the front straightaway. They almost wrecked and did that. And then here are the 2 teammates. DiBenedetto losing it down in turn 1. And guess who the unlucky next car was?
Look who's coming by. I can only guess this one. Oh,
boy.
That's bad luck.
So, and let's go on board with Brad and see what he was seeing.
I got the 20 up high. Come on, hard low. Come on, low.
And that last turn that Matt made was such a hard left that Brad just didn't have anywhere to go.
Just an unusual set of circumstances. The cars were in the same place at that time. But the 18 car was damaged, and he lost a lot of downforce because the rear of the car was caved in.
And Brad going over to make sure his teammate is all right and talk about it. And he looks a little stiff right now.
That was a big hit.
That was a big hit. And it was in the driver's door. You can see right there. That is just where Coleman got him. Another thing that you hate to see as a driver, right, guys?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate nothing. It definitely rung both their bells, that's for sure. And they're really disappointed that both of them got together. And you saw Brad Coleman coming. He just couldn't do nothing. He couldn't steer back up at that point. He was committed. And unfortunately, it's his own teammate sitting there.
Well, that gives us our 3rd caution of the night. 2 very fast race cars taken out in one fell swoop. Brad Coleman and Matt DiBenedetto okay, but out of the race. Now, the Missouri-Illinois Dodge Dealers 250 is under caution for the 3rd time here at Gateway International Raceway. Be sure to check in on NASCAR.com for all the latest NASCAR information. And there'll be a lot to talk about after tonight, especially between the Joe Gibbs teammates, which really was an unfortunate circumstance. The last time the 2 Gibbs cars have failed to finish a nationwide race was February of 2009, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin at Las Vegas. All right, guys, watch this. DiBenedetto, he doesn't have any control, does he, Ricky?
The car's disabled at this point.
It looks like he's got a right rear flat at this point.
And there's Coleman with the impact.
Well, that hurt. Are you all right over there?
God, that hurt bad.
It was a big wreck. I mean, you see the 18 car, the right front tire shoved clear back into the firewall. I mean, that was a hard wreck. That was Coleman making those comments that hurt. You see him getting out of the car really with a little bit of pain. Just knocked the wind out of him.
And here's Matt. He doesn't look a whole lot better. He could have said the same thing, walking over to the grass, and then it looks like he's not feeling 100% after all that.
Yeah, it looks like the weight just come off. And, guys...
Rusty, what does that feel like when you get hit like that?
Oh, it hurts, but this is total disappointment for Matt. I mean, he's got a great shot driving this car. He knows it. Just got the car a little loose, hit the wall, and when he hit the wall, it damaged the rear spoiler, no downforce, and all this happens.
All right, pit road is still closed. The pace car is going to take him through that way anyway and lead him down pit road. But let's get some updates on some of our leaders. Shannon?
Well, down here with Drew Blickensturfer, crew chief for Carl Edwards, you're trying to set him up for the shorter run. You made an air pressure and a wedge adjustment on that pit stop. Is it going to be enough to hold off the 33 and the 22?
I hope so. Both those cars were a little better for probably the first 30 laps of a run. The Aflac Fusion comes on strong for the last 40 laps, but we got to get it a little better so that we can... He's talking to me. I got to get it a little better, so hopefully we can run with those guys in a short run, because it'll probably be short runs to the end.
All right, we'll let you get to Carl and try to get that third win here at Gateway. Doc?
Let's check in with Paul Wolf as the cars go by us here on pit road. And Paul, your decision to take 2 tires instead of 4 on the pit stop a moment ago for Brad Kay. Why?
Well, the discount tire Dodge has been pretty good tonight. We just felt on a short run there. There wasn't a lot of wear with the left side tires today, so we want to keep a set of stickers for the end. We get a caution with 20 to go. We'll put 4 tires on and have a shot at it. So just Brad's been complaining about the brakes a little bit tonight. Obviously, this long caution will help cool him down. Seems like on a long run, we just don't have the feel he's looking for there. So, we've led a bunch of laps tonight, but he's not real happy with the car. So we'll just try to make the best out of it, and hopefully we can have a shot at the end here.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
Ernie Cope and Kevin Harvick have already been to victory lane once today here at Gateway, winning the truck race. How do you see this thing playing out? You're third right now with about a quarter of the race left to go.
Hopefully the car seemed a little bit better that run. We have been a little bit loose in, tight in the middle, loose off, so that's kind of a hard problem to fix, but we've been kind of moving air around, and hopefully we're a little closer this time.
How much did you gain from that truck series race that you were able to apply to this effort tonight?
Well, the setups are very similar. I feel we got a head start on the Nationwide program this morning by practicing the truck yesterday. And what we learned on the truck, we put on the Nationwide car.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Ernie Cope looking to pull off the Gateway sweep. Kevin Harvick running third right now, guys.
Thanks, guys. That gives you an idea of what's going through the minds of those crew chiefs who have had to make these decisions tonight. Their drivers doing the work on track. Carl Edwards, the best of them right now. Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick, second and third. Well, and we're hearing now from NASCAR that pit road may be open the next time by, and that'll give these guys a choice. Gentlemen, what do you think? In or out?
Ooh, I don't know. Brad Keselowski, he might pit. I think if I was everybody else, I'd be staying out.
Staying out.
It's too short. Stay out.
There's somebody staying out.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be any takers among the leaders.
All right, that was Keselowski radio. So he will be staying out.
Dave, Ricky and I both said, hey, if it's 20 laps to go and a caution comes, we're staying out. Paul Wolf just said he's putting 4 tires on. So I don't know what's going to happen.
There's 44 to go right now, so we got a little while to get there, and it looks like none of our top cars, there's Josh Wise and Reed Sorensen, the first 2, to take advantage of the pit road being open. Well, Brad Coleman and Matt DiBenedetto getting together for our third caution of the night. Let's go on board with Brad Coleman right now, going down into turn number 1. He doesn't know his teammate's in trouble and coming down the track. Well, the cleanup crews have done their work. We're about a lap and a half away from green here at Gateway International Raceway. Dave Burns, Rusty Wallace, and Ricky Craven up in the booth for you tonight. Shannon Spake, Dr. Punch, and Mike Massaro down on pit road. And so far, well, we've seen a mostly green race, but lately it's gotten a little bit caution happy. And one of the latest victims was leading the owner's points coming into this race. Just last week when Kyle Busch won at Chicagoland, the 18 car took over those owner's points. He is no longer leading that after that, Rusty.
Yeah, you see Roger Penske's team, the 22, has taken over now. and that's probably just going to get worse. I think that'll probably get more of a spread by the time the night's over. But, you know, these owner points are important to these owners. I mean, it gets you the starting positions. If something goes wrong, there's a lot of benefits. And really, the driver's points don't do that. It's all the owner's points that makes that happen.
And a lot of pride for the teams, right? Because that reflects on them.
Absolutely.
Yep, and if you're new to NASCAR, those two separate points systems have been used all along so that in the 18 situation, Kyle can drive it and Brad can drive it, and the owner can still reap the benefit of having a car fielded all season long in the Nationwide Series. Now, your driver's points leader is Brad Keselowski as well, and he's been continuing to lead here. But Carl Edwards actually is the leader, and he'll have the chance to start on whatever line he wants to start out on. As we see the Joe Gibbs Racing cars, last time they failed to finish in the top 10, Bristol, August of 2009. But Ricky, when you saw Brad Keselowski choose the inside line with those two tires, you think that was to his detriment, so this would be a good move for Carl.
Yeah, I thought that if Carl chose the low lane, it might give the advantage back to Brad, but Carl's got too much savvy, and he chose the outside lane knowing that it worked well the last restart, so he just took away that what we thought might be an advantage for Brad.
I think I remember what happened. Got down into 1 and 2 and then powered off of turn 2 with all that torque and took a command of the lead. So Brad Coleman has been treated and released from the infield care center, so that's good news. We may get a chance to speak with him. As we come to green right now, 160 complete this time by. There will be 40 laps remaining. A little bit of a dash to see if Carl Edwards can hold off Brad Keselowski here at Gateway. Menard giving him just a bit of a nudge. Carl has the restart. Green is back out at Gateway.
Brad's got a good run into turn 1.
This is where Carl commanded last time, and he does it again. Wow, look at that. That momentum and that outside line and those 4 tires versus Brad's 2, that was just no match.
Well, there's a lot to be said about this momentum, especially coming off at turn 2, such of a tight corner. If you get bogged down there, you just can't accelerate off that corner with these, you know, less horsepower than a NASCAR Cup car.
Well, and I like what Shannon talked about earlier, the 60 car getting their act together, making adjustments, and bringing that car around. Remember, Carl didn't have anything for him the first half of the race.
Boy, this is exciting here, guys. This is feeling like go time for a lot of these drivers, and I'm not sure that it's go time, Rusty, but that's what the cause is.
Oh, that's go time for Tony Raines into the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse, and I think Raines is the one who has that smoke. Perhaps a little bit of a tire rub for Tony. He's there on the outside now as you ride on board with Justin Allgaier.
Whoa! Look at Ricky Stenhouse. He's just kind of slipping and sliding. That car's really loose.
Here's the lead. Keselowski has caught Carl, and he's going to dive bomb it down into turn number 1. He's got the nose out there, but here comes Carl back on the outside.
He's thinking, Paul Wolf, I'm going to make this the right call for you, buddy. I'm going to get the lead.
Wow.
But if he can get in front and get that clean air we talk about, I mean, that's really going to be big time for him.
So Carl now fighting, really not for the race win necessarily as much as just keeping him behind him so he doesn't get that clean air.
Ricky, take a look at this. Carl, he's just going to the second lane. He's not even trying to hold the bottom of the track now. He's got that momentum up there, and he's not even trying to get to the bottom, especially in 3 and 4.
And the RPM is rewarding him because what looks like he's giving up a spot on the corner entry, he's taking back on the corner exit.
Yeah, look at that. Just drives it right up to the second lane, picks that throttle up, and pulls away from Keselowski down the back straightaway.
Wow, this is where Carl needs to make it work right now. All right, as this battle has quieted down for just a second, as Keselowski holds on 2 seconds, let's go to Mike Massaro, who's caught up with Brad Coleman.
And he's just walked out of the care center, and you look a little bit dazed. How are you?
Dazed. Going into turn 1, I saw him up high, and I saw him sliding, and his wheels are locked up. So when your wheels are locked, you're going to stay up there. His wheels are locked, and I was going under, and then all of a sudden he let off the brake and rolled right down in front of me. I mean, I had nowhere to go. I feel bad for him. He's pretty dazed. I hope he's okay. I truly had nowhere to go. The AC ran out on lap 30, so I was boiling hot anyways, and I was pretty excited that we had battery trouble, so we changed that. We're making our way up, but just got to thank God that I'm okay, and really tough rough day in owners' points. I feel really bad for Kyle Busch and the whole 18 team.
We're all happy to see you walk out of there. Thank you, Brad. And as Brad mentioned, Matt DiBenedetto, pretty dazed. He's still in the care center. We'll talk to him as soon as he comes out, guys.
Mike, meanwhile, Brad Kay's been trying that inside line. Actually got the nose of the 22 ahead and then nearly lost it.
He had it 95% done. That last 5% got the best of him.
Man, these top 5 cars are really getting tight to each other right now. These two are racing, slowing the field down. Everybody's catching them. This thing's turned into a 5 or 6 car race right now.
Brad is faster than Carl. Carl is just trying to wear him down. He's trying to tax the tires on the 22 car, because if he can do that long enough, just leave him out.
34 to go. This is a short track. Well, it's a super speedway Saturday night battle is kind of what I was getting at. This is what the fans came to see, and boy, they were up on their feet when those guys were battling.
So what happens when two guys get preoccupied with one another? Third and fourth place guys come into the scene, and that's what we're seeing here with Kevin Harvick and Paul Menard.
Well, the cars just won't run as fast when they're side by side. It just doesn't work. It just makes the cars handle different.
Brad trying to get it done off the corner, and Carl will come back on him. He had it done, but there's no way that he would have scooted up there. He didn't know Carl wasn't there.
Boy, if Carl can get ahead of him, Ricky, he just needs to not give that bottom up so bad. He's got to block him off a little bit. He's getting way high.
Some great racing. If Brad could clear him, he'd drive away. But Carl is doing everything he can to keep him pinched down. It's costing Brad 200 or 300 RPM, and that's the difference between getting off the corner fast enough to make that pass.
Here he goes again. He's going to try it. Carl holds the high side. Does Brad have enough? And yes, this time he has enough to clear him. Clean and clear. Brad Keselowski, your leader again. Jerry Punch?
Amazing what Brad Kay just did a moment ago, guys, because he has minimal to no brakes. He's having to pump the brake pedal. He said it's almost like the car accelerates in the corner when he goes in and he tries to use the pedal. He's had to pump the pedal a couple times on the inside. So Carl Edwards trying to make him use up his tires and his brakes, and somehow the 22 still able to make the pass.
Thanks, Doc. Guys, is that another reason why it would have been more difficult for Brad to get around Carl?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're trying to look at each other and figure this out. There's a lot of difficulty that can happen right there, and I'm amazed that the two tires are working that good for him right now, and I'm also amazed that Carl Edwards gave up the bottom of the racetrack that bad.
Well, the reason it's so difficult is because when you run underneath somebody that long, the track obviously gets narrower, right? Which requires more steering. You need to hold the steering longer. If you release the wheel on exit, in other words, if you let the wheel straighten out, you gain speed, right, Rusty? Because you're releasing the wheel and you're taking away some resistance.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you don't bind that car up, you're going to get more speed. We're watching Brad's car here. There was speculation that a lot of people were hearing him shifting, and we follow him along. I don't see it right now. I'm not saying that can't happen, but I haven't seen that happen here.
But I heard Carl talking about it during practice, and he told me earlier, he said, Rick, I'm not comfortable doing it because there's a big separation between third and fourth gear. But with the new rule, they're running a 411 gear this year.
They seem better now. They have some heat in them. They were when they were cooled down, yes.
And that's 11 points less than last year. They ran a 422. These guys are screaming for more RPM, so maybe what he said was, hey, I'm going to grab third momentarily in the middle of the corner and try to jump up alongside him, and maybe that's what worked.
Well, maybe that did happen if the cars got slow enough on the restarts down the middle of the corners. That could have happened.
Brendan Gaughan with a problem now. Gaughan dropping back from the 10th position now, and he's dropping down to the inside of the racetrack. Puff of smoke I thought I saw there, too. Allgaier goes around. Wise is getting around. Brendan's in trouble.
It looks like a left rear tire.
And possibly, we were talking about shifting, possibly stuck in third gear, and I guess he'd get there because he was trying to shift down in turns 1 and 2.
Well, if they got stuck in gear, he's definitely trying to shift in.
Yeah. The command of the obvious right there, as Carl now seems vulnerable in the 60 car. Here goes Kevin trying to get underneath. And there's Brad Keselowski. They haven't lost touch with the leader, and he's going to make the pass. Carl doing a switchback. Little crossover move there, and Carl gets second back going into turn 3.
Carl did exactly what he should do, but let me tell you, when you're sitting in the seat that Kevin Harvick's sitting in, that's aggravating.
Boy, watch that 60 car dance in the tail. When you get right up alongside of a car, it makes you loose. And Kevin's got that baby packed down on the right side of Edwards, making it rough for him right now. But, hey, we only got 26 laps to go. These guys can't give anything up at the moment.
Carl doing what he was doing on the outside to Brad Kay. Now on the inside, trying to battle with Harvick for that second spot. Of course, Keselowski's loving this because you guys mentioned it earlier. Them racing, that gives him a chance to pull away.
Sure does. And he is. And
still this battle goes on. Harvick on the outside, and Menard now moving up on them for the in the 4th spot, trying to catch them.
Yeah, just like Ricky said, when you run side by side, you're really slows you both down. So, hey, anybody betting that we're going to have another caution?
It's possible. It's happened a lot this year with just 25 to go here at Gateway. "22 laps to go here at Gateway, and the caution is out for the 4th time. Ryan Truex in trouble.
Got away from me.
In turn 1 and 2.
Man, I hate that, too. He was having such a good run. Looked solid out there all night long.
Let's see what happened, Rusty. Look at the right-hand side of your picture.
See that, guys? Nobody around him. Just gets in hot and loses it.
Pretty bumpy getting into turn 1. Tires getting a little heat on them, getting aged.
You know what could be happening? A lot of times, Ricky, I believe that when the front brakes start going away, it starts locking up the rear wheels.
Great point.
That's a speculation on my part.
Yeah,
that
I just
might
got
not
into
happen.
one. It's been getting looser and looser as we went. I just went into one and it just freaking went around.
And he was running 10th, guys, so this was a great run for Truex. Not only had he gotten the laps in, not only had he kept from wrecking it, he was running really well. All right, does anybody come down pit road?
Yeah, I know one car coming down, Brendan Gaughan. He's trying to shift, and he's got that thing jammed up in 3rd gear.
Oh, they're all going to do it. Fresh tires ready to go, and our leaders can't say no to that.
20 to go. Paul Wolf says we'll get a caution with 20 to go. I'm coming, and it's 21 to go.
And he said 4 tires. Now, if he takes 4 tires and 3 or 4 cars take 2, that's going to be exciting.
I think he's got to have them, doesn't he?
Well, now we're complicating this thing. I don't know what's going to happen now.
Mike does. Mike?
And lots of debate in the Kevin Harvick camp whether to stay in or come out. Ernie radioed to Kevin moments ago that he thought the right thing was to stay out. Kevin overrode him and said, we're coming in. That's the plan as the 33 comes down pit road. The team is up on the wall. We anticipate a 2-tire change for Harvick, right sides only on that car. Shannon?
Mike, Carl Edwards wants to be tightened up a little bit. They're going to go 2 rounds down on the track bar. They told him not to slide his tires. 2 tires for Carl Edwards. Doc.
Right side tires only for Brad Kay. They asked Brad how you like the car. He said the car is good, but I'd rather play offense than defense. Let's pit. So he made the call, 2 right sides only.
And look at Menard picking up 2 spots with his 2-tire stop. Harvick lost 1 and Edwards lost 1. So great stop for the 98 crew.
Now we've had some cars stay on the racetrack too. See, Trevor Bayne stayed on the track.
Yeah, watch the 98 coming out of the pits here, guys. He's really screaming.
Whoa! He took his lane and a little bit of Harvick's. That one in the race off of pit road. Pretty aggressive, but pretty good move by Paul Menard.
And he's depending on the spotter there. The spotter will tell you who's outside of you. He'll say low lane or high lane.
Well, this is the 5th straight race this season with a caution in the last 25 laps, and by golly, all our leaders came in for tires. Well, here at Gateway, we've seen some interesting strategy play out. The top 6 cars did not pit. Brad Keselowski won the race off of pit road, but Trevor Bayne stayed out, Reed Sorensen, Ricky Stenhouse, Shelby Howard, and Brian Scott, the top 5 cars actually, all stayed out. And it is Bayne who will lead us to green, guys.
And those guys got about 25 laps in their tires, so let's see how good they hold up.
They were also debating about which line he should take, because we've seen an interesting set of circumstances with the inside or the outside. He chose the outside.
So with less than 20 to go, you're going to see some aggression back here. I'm pointing back 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And it's going to get really exciting.
Well, if you look back there, the 3rd car on the inside line, that is Brian Scott, the 11. That green car, that's the last car that did not take tires. Just to his outside, Brad Keselowski with the 2 fresh right sides, and then everyone else of the lead pack on back from there. So that's where it's going to get interesting right away.
Ooh, things are going to get busy. Because when those front guys don't have the speed, those guys in the back, it really causes havoc, especially getting down into turn 1. They'll try to make it 3 wide off of turn 2. We saw it in the truck race this afternoon. Really bogs them down.
Somebody will force the issue here.
4 of those top 5 have never won a Nationwide Series race. The guy in the 32, he's won twice here. We'll see with 17 laps to go when they come to green. Who is it going to be? Trevor Bain, 18 to go, 17 this time by. Trevor Bain will lead him down, and he gets a good jump on Sorensen. He maintains that position, guys, but here comes Sorensen back on the inside.
One of the problems you have staying out on old tires, you got to clean them off really well under caution. And it looks like both those guys slipped a little getting into turn one.
Here's the shuffle we were talking about. Keselowski is clear. Harvick is clear. Now Stenhouse getting eaten up by the 98 of Menard. While this goes on, we should tell you that Matt DiBenedetto has been treated and released from the infield care center. So the driver of the 20 is okay. But now Mike has caught up with Matt.
Yeah, and he just walked out of the care center, Dave, rather slowly. We saw the images as you got out of the race car and sat down on the infield grass. Looked like you were pretty dazed. How are you?
Sore. I'll be fine. I got to thank all the Pizza Ranch folks. Everybody gives for such an opportunity. I mean, we had a good car, just being patient, biding our time, and thought we had a good run. Something happened there off of turn 2, and I'm not sure whether something broke or a tire went down, but I absolutely could not hang on to it. So unfortunate, it tore up 2 of our race cars. I feel bad.
Matt DiBenedetto did walk out of the care center rather slowly, but Dave, very good to see him walk out.
Now, you're right about that, Mike. We're watching the battle for second now between Keselowski and Sorensen, and Shelby Howard is up out of the groove. Remember, he did not pit, has older tires on there, and now all those guys, with the exception of leader Bain and third place Reed Sorensen, they've kind of been disposed of. Well, right now the leader's car owner is standing by with Doc.
Yeah, let's ask Michael Waltrip. Michael, you opted to keep your driver Trevor Bain on the racetrack and not pit. Why?
I'm just real proud of the team. That was a great call. All the guys on the out pit crew team lined up and said, Jerry, that was a great call. We didn't want to make it. We're glad you did. Our car was as good as it had been on that last run, and so Trevor wanted to stay out. Jerry decided to do that, and I think it's going to parlay us into the best finish we could have possibly got. We can't run with the 22 or the 60, but outrunning everybody else right now.
All right, a gutsy call by Jerry Baxter.
And his young rookie still has the lead right now, but Keselowski is there.
You know, you got to agree with Michael because, I mean, he was back there 5th or 6th. Oh, Harvick in the wall.
Yeah, that's it.
Whoa.
And that is a big hit for Kevin. He is on the backstretch, just on the exit of turn number 2. As caution comes out for the 5th time. He was running 4th when this happened, guys. Trying to get it refired.
It had the appearance of a down right front.
Man. And this was one of the cars coming into the day. Looked like he had an odds-on shot for the win. Had led laps tonight.
There was an opening in the back straightaway, and that car just jumped out into it.
They rode the wall there for a while and then just hopped out there, but that was well after the impact. Let's see what happened.
Oh, man, is this unusual for Kevin Harvick? He just loses it himself. Unless he had a right rear tire or a right front going down. Now watch his car. Oh, it jumps out in that outside lane. And that is the entry of the opening on the back straightaway.
Here's where he loses it. Loose off the corner and then gets both ends of the car. And there's no saving that now, Rick.
No, there's no saving it. And Kevin was squeezing the gas. I mean, he was trying to get all there was to get. And, you know, again, changing just right side tires changes how the car drives, particularly in the first 5-10 laps.
Well, and he had to go. He was running 4th. We're coming up on 10 to go here.
Take a look at this right here. It's got the wheels turned to the right, and the car just jumps over in the opening. It's like, where am I at?
Jumping to safety right there after all that. One more look at it, and then Menard and Carl taking evasive action down to the inside.
Let's not forget, Kevin Harvick had a problem with his neck earlier in the day, and then, you know, hopefully that didn't compound it.
That's a good point, Ricky. And he's had, 160 laps in the truck earlier today. Mike Massaro?
And guys, as you can see, heavy right side damage on the 33 car. Also, the rear bumper cover pretty bent up. They're trying to pull away the fender from the wheel well and making sure there's no tire rub there, but they're taking their time to make sure that they do make the repairs properly and that they do not have to come back down pit road again. But it does certainly appear that they're doing everything they can do to get Kevin Harvick back out on the racetrack.
Now, that's what you do at this point. Trying to get your guy back on. Just pick up what you can. All right, so this is Matt DiBenedetto's car. We just talked to Matt. He is not in there at all. And so we're being told that Ryan Truex is actually in that car. So getting a few more points, owner's points, for the 20 car before the night's over. Joe Gibbs Racing 20 team will get the points. And I guess it backs up just how important it is for these guys to get out there and get every lap they can, even in a destroyed race car.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can get out there and get anything possible, I mean, it's very important. Like I said earlier, these owner points are what everything's dictated off of. And that's a cool job. They got them out there.
So let's see where they stand right now and why this would be important. There they are, running third and trying to pick up what they can to stay ahead of the Roush crew in the 60 car. So again, Ryan Truex in that 20 car now. Matt DiBenedetto crashed, treated and released from the infield care center, and that car doesn't look like it's tracking real well.
I was thinking that.
All right. Well, as we wind it down here at Gateway, don't forget the Open Championship continues on ESPN tomorrow. They're going for that Claret Jug from St. Andrews on the old course. Final round tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN3.com starting at 6 a.m. 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see if you can see who takes home that prize. It's been rainy, it's been sunny, what they usually expect over there. It's been a great tournament so far. All right, well, Reed Sorensen runs in the third position after kind of a slow start to the night. Shannon, you've caught up with his crew chief?
Well, this team has certainly earned their paycheck today. Busy day for you guys. I know that you guys did not come down and pit because you guys were out of tires. Do you think you'll be able to hold the rest of the guys off on the tires that you have?
Yeah, I don't know. The lap times were okay as compared to most of the cars behind, equal to the 60. I think if we get a clean start, get a little gap, I think we can keep, third or fourth place. We'll see what happens, but it's been a great effort by the team. Had a bad pit stop, had a loose wheel, got behind. I think far back as 25th. Reed's drove a great race. Dollar General Toyota is really, really fast. It's a shame that we were out of tires here at the end, but we'll see what happens.
Well, Reed Sorensen, two-time winner at this racetrack, so he knows his way to victory lane.
Guys, have you ever noticed every time Trent Owens gets any driver in that car always runs good. He is a great crew chief. There's just no doubt about that. He can really make these things go.
Well, and they've navigated the rough waters here tonight. The first 143 laps here, 1 caution. Since then, 4. And Reed has been around at one point or another and avoided some of that, so they're doing a good job on the track, also on the pit box.
I don't have no fingernails left. I bit everything off.
Hey, well, the lights are off on top of the pace car.
9 laps to go.
Yeah, that means we're going to, next time by, we're going to go green again. And Trevor Bayne still holding down the lead, and he's chosen that high line again, Ricky. Think that's the right call?
I think it is on the older tires because, with less grip, you don't want to be underneath somebody. He can maintain a little extra RPM. Hopefully fight Keselowski off on the exit of the turn. That's the only chance he's got, I think, Rusty.
I think that Brad Keselowski is going to have to look like John Force on the restart coming out his front straightaway and get a big jump on him.
That's exactly right. Michael Waltrip just told his young driver, said, look, I want another restart like what you got just a moment ago. You gave me a great restart. Now give me that. And then give me about 7 qualifying laps. All out, all you can drive. You got the high side. If you'd have chosen the inside, you would have given the 22 and 60 the spots away. You got the high side. Now give me that restart and those qualifying runs.
And, of course, the knock on Bayne lately has been finishing races. Can he finish it in the highest fashion possible here tonight as the pace car has pulled off? Trevor Bayne, 19 years old, leading the field to the green. He'll have the restart. Everyone sort of edging and bunching up. Let's see if he can outpace Keselowski to turn 1. Green is back out.
Nice start.
That's a good start.
Brad Kay's going to pull back even, almost going into the corner. Here's Bayne looking for that momentum on the outside. He gets a little high, guys.
Oh, he drives it up high, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Rusty. He carried too much speed into the corner.
And he's going to lose 3 spots. Carl Edwards goes by. There's Sorensen. Brad Keselowski takes over.
It's going to get busy here.
Nearly 3 wide going in. Menard backs out, thinks better of it. Stephen Wallace down to the inside in the 66. And now he's going to touch Trevor Bayne coming out of the corner. There's still 3 wide.
Wow.
Lots of contact. Justin Allgaier holds his spot. He now gets past. Bayne going backwards. Wallace to the inside in turn 1. That was nearly big, guys, and Allgaier has damage. He's smoking.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure it's over yet.
I don't think it is.
Oh, Allgaier bounces off the wall. Here's Stenhouse. Josh Wise going to the inside in the 7. This all happening with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, we've not given Josh Wise much attention. He deserves it. He's having a great run, charging up through here.
Stayed in the background all night long. When it came time to go, Josh Wise pushed the button, and now Allgaier and Taylor Malsom around. Joe Nemechek slams the inside wall hard.
You could tell something wasn't right with the 12 car.
There was smoke after that little contact there. The 3 wide off of turn number 4, and Allgaier has that nose really crunched in on the 12 car now.
Boy, I saw some guys making moves at that end that were very controversial moves. They never got away from it. And I just go back all the time. The last 10 or 15 races, look, this baby's not over till it's over. If you turn that channel off, you've done missed something. I'm telling you, it's happening at the very end. Happens every single week.
And Taylor Malsom appears to have gotten out of that one fairly clean. Joe Nemechek, not so much. He went down to the inside and took a pretty good shot on that inside wall.
We're done.
And that's Joe talking. Done for sure. As the safety crews now go attend to Joe. Okay, let's look at what happened to Justin Allgaier here. Here he is, Menard on the inside in that 98. Here's Allgaier on the outside. Bang! Off the wall. And then as I get down into the turn, this is what the big one was
Left
about.
rear tire's flat, guys.
Yeah. That was from that 3 wide racing. Somebody got into the left rear, more than likely.
And he's trying to coax it down. Taylor Malsom really came up on him there, and that young rookie just got into the back end of the 12 and spun him around.
Yeah, Justin couldn't do anything about it. He was holding on, doing the best job he could with that flat tire.
There's Malsom contact. Bliss got by. Kenny down on the inside, just getting by. Morgan to the high side. And remember, Justin carried an onboard camera for us tonight. Here's what it looked like.
Still two, clear 1. Just 2 below you, 98.
There's that contact off the wall coming off of 2.
Still 2 below you.
And then the dive down into 3.
Outside. Yeah, which skin here? Got one going flat. I don't know which one. Come on. Right side tire, guys. Right side tire. Oh, inside, bud. Inside. Hold brake, bud. Hold brake.
A lot of
Keep rolling,
times,
bud.
you'll feel a tire going down in one set of turns, and then you'll confirm it in the next set.
Here was the contact. Steven on the inside. And there's a big rub from Trevor Bayne in the middle.
Big rub.
And there's Allgaier on the outside.
Boy, they're all jammed together. They can't get away from each other.
It's good, hard racing here with just a few laps to go, but the 12 of Allgaier getting the worst of that. Joe Nemechek as well. And this is the scene. And this is the scene now as they've stopped the cars on the racetrack entering turn number 3 with Keselowski as our leader.
You know, it's hard to tell drivers to think about risk versus reward. That, hey, you're running in 4th, 5th, or 6th, get the points, but as a driver, you're in the car going, I think I can get some more positions. I think I can get them. And boy, this intensity builds up, and these things happen in the Nationwide Series, and it happens in the Cup Series too. We see it all the time.
Well, and this happened to Allgaier last week at Chicagoland. Remember, it was down near the end of the race. He actually told me that he had gone low on the apron to avoid what had been happening around him, but nonetheless got involved in a big wreck there too. Well, Joe Nemechek's car is on the hook. They have put the red flag out so the safety crews can get to work, and the track cleanup crew can make this race ready for us with just 5 laps remaining here at Gateway.
Check this out. Gary Denson, the black car on the left. Friday night qualifying, a huge explosion. Parts of the funny car body went everywhere. Denson was not injured. In fact, he became the number 2 qualifier with that run. You gotta love the NHRA. Qualifying is next. Final Sunday at 6.
Cars are stopped on the back stretch as the cleanup continues for the wreck between Justin Allgaier and others as he was trying to get to pit road. Our leader is Brad Keselowski. Rusty, why don't you see if you can dial him up?
Hey, Brad Keselowski, Rusty Wallace up here in the booth with ESPN. You got us?
Yo, what's up, man?
Well, he's getting pretty intense out there. We're watching some pretty tight corners. Looks like you were shifting a little bit. How's that working for you?
Not as good as it is for Carl. He's got it figured out. He's got pretty good smoke, too, so it's going to be tough to beat him. This is kind of playing right into his hands and having a restart, so we'll just have to see how it plays out.
All right, buddy, we'll get out of here. You have a good race. It's going to be pretty exciting. 8 laps to go here.
4, thank you.
All right, thanks to Brad for giving us a little insight there. You know, sitting back there, a lot goes through your mind.
Crank up. Let me know when it's running.
As they crank them up. Ricky, what was that like for you when they'd stop the race like that?
I never liked it. It was very disruptive, and it allowed you to sort of wane your thoughts. When you're in a rhythm and the race is rolling along the way you want it to be, like it is for Brad Keselowski or Carl Edwards, you want to keep that going. And, just too much time to think right now.
Okay. Well, they actually have put the yellow out now. The red flag situation is gone. And we're going to see if we can talk to second place, Carl Edwards.
Hey, Carl, Rusty up in the ESPN booth. You got us?
You got you, Rusty. How's it going?
Well, it's pressure cooker time now, buddy. 8 laps to go. How's that car running for you?
You know what they say, pressure makes diamonds, so we'll see if we can do it. This Aflac Fusion's good. I think Brad's real good, too. And I can tell you, we've been having fun racing. It's pretty exciting running side by side like that in front of these fans. And just hope we can get a good restart and get them here on this short run. I think the car is good enough. I've just got to be mistake-free, you know?
All right, buddy, we'll get out of here. Have a good run.
All right, Rusty, thanks.
It's going to be very interesting to see which lane Brad chooses.
Can you believe those guys are talking to us? With 8 laps to go. And we get permission from them, and they love to talk to us, but I'm like, wow.
Absolutely. All right, they were also talking on the radio. Let's listen.
What do you think on the restart, Paul, top or bottom?
I don't know. I don't know if we run up top what he can do on the bottom.
My only comment is when he had a lane to choose and he was 2 back behind you, he chose the high lane. 10-4. I don't know if it's smart to base your game plan when you have the fastest car on taking someone else's lane away. I almost feel like you just need to execute your own lane. My lane is on the bottom.
How about that, huh?
Well, I think that's the type of thing that happens when you sit there under a red flag. That's what I was speaking of, really. I mean, way too much time to think about this and make it difficult. So do you play to your strength or do you take away his strength?
And Brad wants to play to his own strength. All right. That sounds like offense to me. We want to let you know Joe Nemechek was treated and released from the infield care center. That is good news after he took that shot to the inside wall. And, guys, it sounds like we are going to get a green-white checkered out of this. And that'll be the first one we ever have. First time we've had extended laps here at Gateway. It's the 8th one of this season, but first time ever it's happened here.
Well, this looks like the right place for that to happen. I mean, it's close quarters. It's tight. You can feel the drama building.
It won't be the longest race here. Ricky Craven didn't finish that one, but was participating in that one in 1997. That was back when they went 300 miles here. Tonight's event, just 250 miles. They won't quite make that with a couple extra laps here, but as we get set to go, it will be green, white, checkered. 2 laps to decide this one. And Brad Keselowski is going to take the inside line.
Well, I hope these drivers bring all these cars home in one piece from here on out.
Yes, sir. First attempt, green light check.
Possibility to tear some more stuff up, Ricky.
Well, we're going to watch and see because this is going to be an exciting restart either way.
It's just not the type racetrack where you can drive the car in another half car length deeper into turn 1 because it's a recipe for disaster, right? You can only go so fast into that tight turn.
And guys, let me correct something here. This won't be an official green-white checker. There will be 2 laps to go when they come by. But the fans are on their feet now, and Brad Keselowski taking to the inside, Carl Edwards to the outside, Trevor Bayne in the 4th spot, 2-time winner Reed Sorensen starting in the 3rd spot, and behind them, Stephen Wallace and Paul Menard. Don't think they're not hungry. Colin Brown and Josh Wise in the row behind them. You thought the last restart was exciting. Hang on for this one as they get ready to finish this one off here in Gateway tonight. Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards bringing it to green, watching the flag, but now keeping their eye on that restart zone. Keselowski stands in the gas. Carl's with him as they cross the start-finish line.
Carl did a good job. He's maintaining there. He needs to do that if he's got any chance.
He's got to keep that high side going right now.
That was a great restart with Keselowski. He really came through the gearbox good.
Look at Brad. He tries to drift to the high side. Carl fights back. It's not over yet.
I thought he had him cleared.
Look just how close it is. Does Carl dive in on the outside? He's got to do it. Does he maintain that spot? Keselowski holds him off. Carl with the advantage coming off the corner.
Keselowski got a little bit loose getting into 3.
White flag.
Shades of Atlanta for Carl's first cup win.
Right on your bumper.
He
White
goes
flag.
to the outside, but he's got one more lap to deal with Brad Keselowski. Keselowski fights back on the inside.
Whatever happens now, this race will be
high touch. Keselowski gets into Edwards. They save it. Drag race down the backstretch now.
That's that half car length I was talking about. They both survived it. Let's see what happens in turn 3.
Reed Sorensen waiting in the wings. Here's Keselowski on the inside. Carl Edwards, can he make it stick on the outside? Brad thought he had the best car all night. Took the inside line on the restart. This is going to be down to the wire. High touch. He spun out. Carl gets into Keselowski. Carl Edwards will win.
That's it. Checkered flag.
Stack up
Good job, man. You are the man. He deserves it. Good job.
I just hope Keselowski's okay here. That was a hard hit, guys.
That was ugly.
Wreck behind you. Just slow it down.
Ugly.
Slow it down. There's a big wreck here.
Big contact on Keselowski as the other cars racing to the finish came to the line. And Keselowski got spun around hard. Carl Edwards going for the win.
We're going to have plenty to talk about here.
Well, there's no question. Damage to the 60 as they came to the line. And there's Brad moving around in the 22 car. That is very, very good news.
And this is 2 problem weeks for Brad. Hate it for him to run out of gas last weekend. Crashes at the start-finish line this weekend. But boy, he was running great tonight. A good car throughout the night for Brad.
Let's take a look at how this happened. Did Carl wreck Brad? Or was it just contact? Let's take a look.
It looks to me as though Carl thought that he was cleared and he was going to do a crossover and maybe misjudged that.
Boom, right there. Is that Bliss or Howard?
Colin Brown gets hit also and spun around. 88 car Steve Arpin. You see Loeffler involved in this.
Here it is again. Carl's got that outside run. Thinks he's got the room to do it. Boy, that's such a hard angle to see if Brad came up to block in any way.
Carl didn't lift. We can confirm that.
There's no question there.
Guys, you got to remember, you're coming to the start-finish line, too. This is hard to say it was his fault or somebody else's fault. It's the money lap. The flag's waving.
Watch this hit by Keselowski. He's stuck on the inside line there. And just hard contact.
So glad he's okay. That was a hard hit for Keselowski.
Here's Reed Sorensen thinking he might have a shot at the win in the yellow car as Keselowski goes around, but Carl stays in it and hangs on. And then the result is big-time contact for Brad.
Yeah, this is ugly.
Well, they build him safe, and it's a darn good thing because here's what it felt like for Brad Keselowski coming to the checkers.
Come on.
We lose our camera, but listen.
That's the one right there. That's when he got hit by the 70 car Shelby Howard, and that really destroyed this car.
Immediately going on the radio, telling his crew he's okay.
I love these seats that they're using. These carbon fiber seats that these teams are using. Very, very safe. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, all the best use those seats, and they're very safe.
Taylor Malsom also on the front straightaway there. He did cross the finish line, as did Keselowski. The only thing, victory lane right now. There's Carl getting out, and Shannon Spake is there.
Well, I looked in the car. There goes Carl. And the crowd is loving it. Signature backflip. Carl Edwards, 3rd win here at Gateway. I know this is a huge win for you. We got to ask you what happened with you and Brad on that last lap, though.
I just couldn't let him take the win from me. My guys worked way too hard for that. We had a great restart. My guys built me a great car. And we came to the checker flag, and I hate to see stuff tore up, but we came here to win. and he took it from us there in turn 1. And just an awesome race. I can't thank Copart.com enough, Fastenal, and Aflac. Aflac's always got me under their wing, and I just really appreciate their support. So, and thanks to the fans. Thanks for coming out here and braving the hot weather. And, you know, I'm sure some of them don't like that win, Brad Keselowski fans and stuff, but, man, I just couldn't let him take it from me. I had to do what I had to do.
This is definitely going to be the Brad and Carl show going to the end of this season. Do you think that this win, the way that this win happened, will set up the way that you guys will race each other moving forward?
I hope not. I mean, the deal is we raced really well there, I don't know, for 10 laps straight or something earlier in the race. He just went in, he just got in over his head and tried too hard, and it was at my expense. So that was at his expense, and we got our win. But I think he could have got me without hitting me. I think his car was good enough. We could have been side by side across the finish line, and I would have much rather had that. But we got the trophy.
Congratulations, Carl. Third win here at Gateway. He's going to celebrate big tonight. Mike?
And catching up with the runner-up tonight, Reed Sorensen. And Reed, you had a pretty good view of what was going on in front of you. What was going through your mind as Carl and Keselowski were battling, rubbing fenders, swapping paint, battling for that win?
I was hoping we'd get a little bit lucky and they would both wreck, but it was a long night for us. So just to get the Dollar General car up there close to getting a shot to win this thing was a good end of the night for us.
What is it about you in this place? A couple of wins, a couple of runner-up finishes. It seems like this place is, I bet you wish you could run here every week.
Well, fortunately, we get to come back here, and I plan on having a better car when we get back. We didn't have the best car tonight, so we'll get it better.
What'd you need?
A lot of things. Overall grip.
As Reed said, they're coming back once again, guys, and well, after that performance tonight, I expect bigger and maybe better things. Doc?
Bob Keselowski back here at the Care Center waiting for his son Brad to come in. And Bob, you came up. What was your view on what happened on the final lap?
Brad got into Carl, getting out on turn 1, race him. They bumped, they rubbed. Typical rubbing racing deal. Carl flipped out like he did at Atlanta and tried to kill the kid. I'm sick and tired of this. I'll get my own damn uniform back out and take care of this. He ain't going to kill my boy. He just overreacted so bad. If he wanted to bump Brad, it's one thing, but don't drive him through the inside guardrail. Don't put him in the grandstands in Atlanta. That's asinine.
Got Bob Keselowski over there going over to check on his son Brad, obviously upset with what he saw in the final lap.
Well, Doc, emotions running high from the family here. We started out talking about families in racing. Keselowskis have done this for a lot of years, and they are very sure about how they compete. And right now, Dad not too happy with the way Carl competed tonight. But as Carl talks with his crew down there, he says he had a reason to race Brad the way that he did on the final lap. We'll try to show you that replay, as we may not have it, but Carl was talking about Brad taking it away from him, and Carl came back and raced him hard to the checkers. And there's the resulting wrecked 22 race car. Mike, who have you caught up with?
I've caught up with the guy who started the race on the pole, kept it in the top 10, came home 6th tonight, of course, that being Trevor Bayne. How would you assess the evening?
Very hot. You look at everybody I think that we've interviewed or talked to or seen sitting around, man, they're all on the ground. It was just a really enduring race, you know. I mean, it was hard for the drivers, and it was hard for our team, but Jerry Baxter did a great job with our call there to not pit and got us our track position back. We had a strong enough car to be up there, and that was the way it was for us in our Outback Care Toyota all weekend. You know, we unloaded fast in the top 3 and qualified on the pole and then finished top 3. So it's a great weekend for us. Can't thank Gary Bechtel and Ty Norris and Michael Waltrip and all those guys and Blake Bechtel for giving us this opportunity, and Outback Care and Aaron's and everybody just for getting us here, and then God for prevailing and bringing us through. So it was a great weekend for us, and we're happy to be the top 3.
Great run for Trevor Bayne and a great weekend overall. Guys?
Thanks, Mike, and it is a great run for Trevor. This is what we were talking about. Carl stating that Brad took something away from him and he was going to get it back. Here they are diving into one, guys.
Yeah, and obviously Brad's trying to win. He gets in that half car length too deep that I referred to earlier. As a result, slides up, gets into Carl. And what Carl's saying is, and he's establishing here tonight, this is how we're going to race. You take something from me, I'm going to take it back. And it's a pretty strong statement. Not only what he said, but how he did it.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think NASCAR is going to agree with this. I think they're going to have a big problem. This could create a lot of controversy, guys.
This isn't boys have at it?
No, I don't think this is boys have at it. I think this is a little bit different, and there's going to be some talking going on about this one, guys.
All right, one more time. Here is the run to the checkers. Carl pushing his way through, taking back what he said was taken from him, and Brad getting a big hit as he sat on the front straightaway. And this is what you don't like, Rusty.
No, I don't like that type of wrecks. And
anybody that's been in one of those doesn't like it. That's as good as the outcome can be.
Well, and we saw the reaction of the family as well. They didn't like it either. But Carl Edwards, happy in victory lane. If you like this, be sure to join us next Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern for NASCAR Nationwide Series racing at O'Reilly Raceway Park, a short track on ESPN, as well as Sprint Cup Series Brickyard 400, a big track presented by Golden Corral, Sunday at 1 on ESPN. All right, guys, so that's the way it's going to be for Carl and Brad as we go forward. What happens next? Ricky?
Well, I think we're going to be reading about this, and I follow Rusty's lead that, NASCAR is probably going to have something to say about this.
Carl Edwards?
And I think there might be, NASCAR might say, boys can be boys, but we're going to put some limitations how far boys can be boys because, it's getting pretty physical out there, no doubt about that. Two great drivers, a rough finish, exciting race at Gateway, typical short track racing. And if you had enough tonight, we got more coming next week at our O'Reilly Raceway Park.
And again, Carl wins, and he eats into the points lead. Coming up next, Fram Autolite NHRA Nationals qualifying from Sonoma. Congratulations to Carl Edwards, your winner tonight. Well, it was a big night here at Gateway. Brad got out in the grass, got it under control, got his 22 car back under it. Joe Gibbs' teammates crashing out together. A bad night for them. The final lap coming to the checkers. Carl wins. Brad gets wrecked. We'll